three cinephiles have come together to bring you strong opinions, controversial statements, epic battles, and plenty of fun. Introducing our host, the man who watches 52 movies a week, drinks 52 beers a movie, loves women but hates the woman, from the foreign land of Canada, our host, Moodz 616. He is widely known as the man who talks too much. His worst enemies are Postmaster P and Pee Wee Herman. He said Hellraiser was overrated and Leprechaun Origins wouldn't suck. He's the full-blooded half-Mexican, JP. Finally, we have the man who doesn't talk enough. He is best friends with Sean S. Cunningham. His favorite horror movie is Gummo. He is your favorite Jew and mine, Jeremy. Together they are known for extending a helping hand to vampircons everywhere. They are the 22 shots of Moodz and horror.
Oh yeah, what's going on everybody? The 22 shots of Moodz and horror is coming at you live. This is episode 51. I am your host Moodz 616, and of course I've got my hetero life mate with me, Double Shot J, also known as JP. What's going on, homies?
What's up, dude?
I guess I didn't have to pluralize that, did I?
No, because there's only one of me, one of your hetero life mates here today.
That is right. So in case you people didn't understand the intro, it is just the two of us this week. Jeremy is not with us. And yeah, so we're going to be rocking episode 51. Unfortunately, he passed away, and this is how we're breaking it to everybody. No, he's working on a movie right now, so he cannot be with us. Our schedules are really not lining up too well these days, so
we actually had a few more shows planned after episode 50. We was going to end on 55. But shit really did get crazy. Like, we anticipated that it would be, that's why we was going to cut it at 55, but we didn't really anticipate it to start so soon. We knew it was coming. We knew everything was going to get hectic. That's why we stopped last year at around, the same time, because everything's in the summer, gets everybody's schedules going crazy. And it happened again. It just happened faster than we expected. So this is actually going to be our last episode for this season, besides the summer shows that we have planned as well.
That's right. So I think what we're going to do, we missed about 3 or 4 episodes. I think some of those episodes we're probably just going to push into season 3 because we still want to do them.
Yeah, great ideas. So, we have some great shows.
Yeah, so, and like JP said, we're going to be attempting to do a couple shows in the midsummer so the break doesn't seem so long, and but that, that'll keep us fresh too a little bit. So be on the lookout for those. But we pumped a lot of episodes into season 2, way more. We ended on 22 the last time we ended. This time we end on 51 minus the 22, of course. Moodz, what's the math on that? 29 episodes this season. So
we did better than last year.
That's not bad. We had some really good runs there where we didn't miss any episodes, but unfortunately, life calls and work calls actually for me. That's kind of my problem. Yeah. But yeah, this just came really, not really out of, all of a sudden, but we knew things were going to get hectic with Jeremy and stuff. And then things just unfortunately got crazy with me too at the same time.
And I can't keep employees at my workplace. So I was doing, there was that 1 week where we didn't do the show. I actually didn't have a full day off, like during my regular, you get 2 days a week off. I didn't even have a full 1 day off that week. It was insane. It was terrible.
Yeah, schedule change at work for me going into summer ops, and we just got so busy, and that's what life is, man. You just have to expect those things. So not a big deal. We got, like I said, some more lined up for the summer, and we're going to push the other ones. And, so we'll be back in full force, probably starting beginning of September again. So, yeah.
What is what's on the agenda for this show here tonight, though? Which one is this?
This episode is the top 10 horror films of 1968. So kind of interesting. I've actually never seen anybody compile a list of their top 10 favorite horror films of 1968. So pretty interesting stuff. So how are you feeling about it?
I think it's really cool. It's an era where I really was not that familiar. And we kind of discussed why 1968, right? Because we wanted to do more top 10 shows. why should we limit ourselves to just the one at the end of the year for, the top 10 of 2013 and 14 that we did? Why not go back and retroactively go through other years? And we figured, where should we start? Well, modern horror kind of starts right around 1968, so why not start there? And I've only seen like 3 or 4 films from that year, so I had to go back and check out, a bunch more things that I'd never seen. I had a great time, fun time doing it. That's why we set this show so many months ahead of when we first came up with the idea.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting year to do because there's some very notable classic films from that year. A lot of mediocre films, a lot of bad ones. So, it's kind of all over the place. It's like every year, really. But it's a pretty interesting year, actually. And, like you said, the start of modern horror. So why not start with 1968? And plus, the idea came, like you said, we didn't want to limit ourselves to, one top 10 show a year. But like I said, I'd never seen anyone ever do a top 10 list like this before, from a specific year like that. And
yeah, I never seen one from a podcast. I might have seen lists in article form, but definitely not for a podcast. I don't know.
Oh yeah, probably an article form for sure. But yeah, so 1968.
Yeah. We'll probably do more of these type of lists, next season because I had a lot of fun doing it. To be honest, I thought it was a cool idea.
And on that note, if you guys have any, ideas for specific top 10 shows, throw them our way. We consider everything. We usually have, we plan our shows quite far in advance, which we haven't done. I mean, like I said, we're pushing a couple shows from this season to next season, but we haven't planned for season 3. So, throw those ideas out. We're always willing to, absorb those and give them a chance anyways. So
I wish I knew who to credit for the top 10 or the top 50 influential films of the last 50 years, because somebody did mention that and we picked that idea, but I forgot who mentioned that idea.
What? That's a good, you know what? I actually have no idea. I want to say it was somebody like Brandon that probably, he's a regular caller on the show. But I can't give him full credit because I'm not 100% sure, but that was a great idea and we rolled with it and it was a fun show. So
yeah, I actually was going through some of the statistics on that show. I actually wrote down a lot of them, but I lost the notebook. But the most amount of films from a decade was actually the 70s. Out of the 50 films that we picked, the 70s had the most.
Yeah,
and
that actually makes a lot of sense, though.
Yeah, it does. But I thought like the 80s, I thought like the 80s probably would have won that, but no, it was the 70s. And Wesley Craven was, of course, the only director to be featured 3 times.
And that basically just proves another point right there, how unbiased that list really was, because me and you, I think we share the 80s is our favorite decade for horror films.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
For personal. So, and then, it turns out that this list actually had more 70s films on it. Another note was a couple films that were on the top 50 list I don't even care for, and stuff. So, but we did get feedback on that. I really appreciate that too. There was a couple comments stating, how much they enjoyed the list and how much we broke it down and the reasons for why the films were on there. But it was more due to the fact that we were being so unbiased with the list, and I really appreciate that. At least people got that.
I was expecting to get a little more like heat thrown our way, but I was surprised to see that everybody a lot of people actually kind of like accepted the list for one, those are some pretty good picks, and 2, like nobody was like a dick about it either.
Yeah, I thought for sure we were going to get some major flack, especially with the number 50 pick. I thought for sure that was going to start people off in the wrong direction. They're just going to be like, fuck this list. This is garbage, kind of thing. But we really didn't get that negative feedback. I think there was a couple of people who were like, whoa, that seems really high on the list. But, everything I thought was explained quite well, so it was easy to understand why they were in that order and stuff. So. But yeah, thanks to everybody for commenting and listening to the podcast too, because, we did put a lot of effort into that, so thank you.
And I think that the most impressive thing about that list was the steady pace that we maintained, because we was really nervous about that going in, because we are so long-winded, it is ridiculous. We have the worst, ability to maintain a appropriate amount of speed through reviews and stuff like that. So we was all surprised when we finished, like, wow, we're doing really good.
Yeah, we've been known to get into some some arguments, and Jeremy will sit back. Remember, I think it was last season we actually had a conversation about Sean Cunningham, and
Oh my
like
God.
it went on
That's
for
one of my least favorite moments of the entire show.
I know, right? That thing just went on forever and ever. And I remember, I think there even was comments like, "Hey, you guys want to move on?" I'm like, well, there is show notes. You can just skip to the next point.
I edited a lot of that conversation out too. That was the first time that I actually did some editing. Like, I think right around that era was like when I was like, okay, maybe we shouldn't just let everything, you know, be like completely unprofessional and just let it natural. Like, maybe we should edit a little bit of stuff out.
I think the show has come a long way, though. You know, those first bunch of episodes that we did, it was just like, it was straight up raw footage, man. Like
there was literally no editing for, I would say, like, you know, 15, 16, 17 episodes at least.
It's actually kind of crazy how long it went. It actually kind of blows my mind. I don't know, those older ones, but you know,
and we all got new mics and stuff. It some of those older episodes, like, people say like, oh, you know, I have been listening since episode 1 or whatever. And I'm like, that's cool that they've stuck with us that long. And then you have other people to say like, I just found your show like, you know, 6 months ago, but I have listened to every episode because I went back and started from episode 1 and went all the way through. And I'm like, ugh. And you stuck around.
It does kind of make me cringe a little bit too, because, you know, right at the start of the second season, we all picked up the same mics. And I think the quality got a lot better. And, you know, obviously we were very, you know, we got a lot more comfortable with each other, you know, probably halfway through the first season or whatever.
Yeah, it just became more natural.
But I think it's the editing though too, you know, just here, you know, just those little things that make a big difference. But yeah, once again, getting really long-winded.
Oh yeah.
Hi guys, JP here, and as you guys know, Jeremy is not on this episode, but he did send me a few clips to let his presence be known, so it still feels like he's a part of the last episode of the season. So what you're about to hear next is a clip explaining why he was unable to record this episode, and then you'll be back with me and Moodz, and we'll hear more from Jeremy later.
Alright, what's going on, everyone out there in the world of the 22 shots of Moodz and Horror World? As you guys have probably noticed, I am not on this week's show, mainly because of the fact that if you haven't been following me on the 22 shots of Moodz and Horror Facebook page, that you probably don't know that I'm interning on this this Warner Brothers, not Warner Brothers, but it's a you know, it has the possibility to get picked up by Warner Brothers according to the talk that's been going on lately on set and things like that. So it's not going to be a huge release, to be completely honest, I think, in my opinion, but at least it has the chance to be something from what I've heard from the chit chat. So I'm interning on this film that's in the city for a month. We've been shooting 24 days. 12-hour days every day, and then I had to get back home from downtown, so that's another 2 hours every day. So, you know, it's a pretty 14-hour job, 14 hours a day every day, 6 days a week. So I really haven't had much time to do anything at all. I haven't had time to watch movies or anything like that, and or, you know, even keep on writing like I did during the school year. So I've just been extremely busy, but it's going really, really well. The first few days, I had to get hazed. Everybody on set, fucked with me quite a bit. But, that's to be expected. I'm the intern, I'm the new guy, not getting paid, not doing, never been on a set like that before. So, it's kind of expected that has a chance to happen. And, of course, it did. But now that we're, pretty 5 to 6 days in, people are starting to respect me a little more. I'm learning a lot more than I've learned in film school, and I've been there for 3.5 years now, and, I've learned way more in 6 days than I have in 3 years of film school. So that should tell you something about how useless film school really is.
From last show, we had a contest, right?
Yes, we did have a contest, and I think what we're going to do right now is getting to the first drawing. Do you want to explain how we're going to do this, JP?
Yeah, okay. So basically we had 18 voicemails. And we decided we're going to take 9 of those people who called in, and those will be the winners. But we're going to put all of the 18 entrants into, I got a country crock butter container here with them all in it. It's all dried out.
It's, you know, it's washed out. It doesn't got butter all over the place. And we're going to pick out 3 now. And these 3 will be the prizes that Jeremy will send.
Okay, and on that note, the reason why we're doing 3 apiece is just because it's like a cost efficiency thing. I think a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Because with 18 winners, so I think it just worked out better. We'll just pick 3 winners per person, and that person will send them some prizes.
Yep. So we'll pick 3 out now, which will be the Jeremy's 3 that he's sending stuff to. In the middle of the show, we will pick 3 more, which will be the people that Moodz will send prizes to. And then there is the final 3 will be towards the end of the show, which I will send prizes to. So I do have everybody's name. This is absolutely 100% not rigged in any sort of way. I can care less who wins because I love all Ians equally.
Mm-hmm. So it's not bad though. I mean, 50% of the people that phoned in are going to be winning prizes here, so it's not bad. You got a pretty good chance of actually winning something here. And yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, so I'm going to just shake it up a little bit more. And I actually cut out equal. I did it with a ruler. I cut out equal size pieces of paper and, you know, folded them the exact same way as well. Just to be super legit and fair. Okay, so here comes the top. I have one in my hand. Now, let me ask you this, Moodz. Should I take this one, or should I change this person's fate and pick somebody else?
You got to pull out that first one, man.
Okay, here it comes. The first winner is actually Derek.
Oh, go figure. Derek
go figure, right?
Yeah. Wow, this thing, I think this is rigged a little bit, man.
Right? I mean,
pick again.
Probably one of our biggest friends here, and his name gets pulled first. Okay, I'm going to grab another one. This will be the second of the 3. We have Andrew. I believe that is Andrew French.
Oh, I thought for a second you were going to say Ballin. I was like, wow, that'd be weird.
No, that's Andrew French. I actually didn't write last names because all 18 people have different first names. So I was like, that's easy enough.
Nice.
If you have not sent your address and stuff to us, make sure that you do after you listen to yourself if you won, if you hear your name being pulled out, because those addresses are all over the place. I've had everybody send them to different places and stuff.
Just send them to the appropriate host.
Yeah, exactly. So. And the third and final person that Jeremy will be sending a prize to is the homie Tyler, whose voicemails I absolutely love. So those 3 are the first 3 winners. There will be 6 more winners later in the show. Make sure you guys send your addresses to Jeremy.
Well, congratulations, Derek, Andrew, and Tyler. They are... Well, that's cool, man. That's cool because they're all white regular callers. So
yeah.
Very cool, very cool. So once again, congratulations, and hopefully Jeremy doesn't send you a bunch of shit.
Yeah, like 8 ghostlies.
The funny thing is that I actually don't even know what he has to send, or I don't even know what you have. I don't think we know what any of us have.
I think I've bought 2 things to send, and the rest I'm just gonna buy when I talk to the person. Because I really didn't know. I kind of was like, I don't know what people have and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'll probably have a couple like used things that I might just throw in as well. Just, you know, extra stuff that I have. I'm not really sure what I'm doing. But
cool.
You're guaranteed to win free shit. So, I mean, what the hell?
Yeah. Alrighty. So should we move along into the news?
Yeah, dude. Honestly, I only grabbed the news from the last 7 days, and maybe 1 or 2 items that was from previous days, because there was really just too much to grab the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks worth of news. So I just decided to go with a small sample size of news.
Cool.
So first up, we have I don't know if this is the announcement, but I guess it kind of makes it official. Maybe it was talked about before, but that is Underworld 5. I can't believe they're on their 5th one of these already. I guess they are pretty old, now that I think about it, but I just never really been a huge fan. I've only seen like one of them, I think.
I actually can't even really comment, and oddly enough, I actually picked up the 4 Blu-ray box set a little while ago, because, to be honest, I never really had any interest in watching the Underworld films at all, but it was like $20 for the box set, You know, and it was nice. And I was like, whatever, man. It's $20. I might as well grab them. So maybe I'll get around to them one day. But,
yeah,
you know, I've heard very, very mixed things about them. I don't really think they're kind of my thing. I think from what I heard, I think they're a little over stylized and just
I've said
kind of
that
whatever.
before.
Yeah,
and,
so
they're very like I liking them to Resident Evil, like that new era stylized, fast-paced action, high octane type horror film, which I'm just never have been like the biggest fan of that style. But I do know that there are a lot of people who love that style.
Oh, and I can see the appeal too. You know, like you said, it's the high octane, you know, fast-paced, right? So,
yeah. But the news comes that actress Kate Beckinsale, I believe, who played like the lead character, has signed on to reprise her role. So
she's
that's
absolutely
kind of
beautiful.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So this one is actually it's titled Underworld: The Next Generation, which, you know, anything that's usually titled something along those lines is probably bad. You know, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4.
The Next Generation? Yeah.
But it's supposed to shoot in October in Prague.
In Prague, nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
So there is Underworld 5 on the way. After that, we have some pretty cool news. We've been following this since its, early stages onto its incubation, development, all that stuff. Twin Peaks. So as, brief history, it was announced that they was going to continue the series with David Lynch involved. Everybody was getting excited for it. It was not going to be a reboot. It was going to be like a remake. It was going to be like a continuation of some sort. All these different actors were signing on to reprise their roles. Everybody's all happy, and it was like a warm feeling of like, oh shit, everything's coming back. Nostalgia set in and all that stuff. And then David Lynch, removes himself from the show because Showtime wasn't putting up the appropriate amount of money that he felt he needed to make the show. Then there was a bunch of fan backlash. There was the actors involved all made videos saying like David Lynch can't be, Twin Peaks without David Lynch is like the, log lady without logs or whatever. They had all these cute, funny things. And I guess it worked because David Lynch recently went to his Twitter and said, "Dear Twitter friends, the rumors are not what they seem. It is happening again. # Twin Peaks returns on Showtime."
Cool.
So I guess David Lynch is back involved.
That is good news.
Yeah, so I think that goes to show that if you have enough of a strong arm from the fans and the people involved, you can really change a lot of things. And I always say that, like, if you want, somebody to go, you want them to make this film this way, not have it a remake, everybody just say that, like, all at once, and, they'll hear.
This is a really interesting case because, like 20 years ago or something like that, this would have never happened.
Exactly.
Without
social media,
without social media and this is proof that it can be very, very effective and really help out. I mean, obviously social media is a good outlet for a lot of things, but this is a prime example of it really, really working to the benefit of the fans. Because 20 years ago, if this exact situation had happened, David Lynch backs out because there's not enough money, it's done. It's done. Yeah. I mean, where are these people going to make videos and tweet and blah, blah, blah and stuff? It's not going to get out,
Yeah.
So you're not going to hold a press conference on CBC or something like that. But
yeah. And, that's like
interesting.
Back when I said, like, listen, if everybody wants Scream Factory to do another TV Terrors, everybody go tell them right now. Like, the entire, horror world, guarantee you if like 100 people just went to Scream Factory's page and posted like, hey, can we get another TV Terrors? I bet they'd probably listen.
Yeah, man, it's such a bummer. I know.
We
should start the petition.
You love it. You love it.
Yeah, we should start gathering up people right now, and then just head over to the website and or tweet them or whatever.
Tweet them, email,
and just bombard them with TV Terrors 2. You have to do it.
Volume 2. Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, man. It's such a good idea, and I'm such a big fan of 70s TV shows that I was so bummed out when they said they're not going to do anymore. I'm like, come on, fans. I mean, that release was like $10. Come on.
Yeah.
So.
All right. After that, we have an announcement for Guillermo del Toro's The Strain Season 2. I guess that's that show he produces on FX. It will be returning July 12th at the 10 p.m. time slot. That's, of course, Eastern Standard Time. The second season continues the story of a Dr. Goodweather and his quest against, quotations, the Master. I don't know anything about the show, so none of that makes sense to me. But I know that there are people that really like that show, so second season is upon us.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about it. And actually, last week I was waiting for my prescription. I have mad heartburn, so I take prescription pills for that. But anyways, I had some time to kill, and so I went over to the comic book store that was just across the way. And I was actually flipping through the graphic novel of the strain, and it looks fucking fantastic, man. I was like, this is really awesome. I was actually considering buying it, but it was pretty expensive. So I was like, whatever, I can do without it. But yeah, I've heard really good things about the show, and yeah, the graphic novel, pretty neat too. So that's cool that they're continuing the series. So I heard good things.
Yeah. Something that I'll probably pick up on Blu-ray season 1 eventually, and then not watch it for like 5 years.
Kind of in the same boat right now.
I have so many TV shows that I've been trying to get through the X-Files season 1, and I'm like, I think on the 3rd disc, and I've just been at a standstill. Mm-hmm. Those episodes are like an hour long each, man. So it's I used to be able to just binge watch shit for days, but I don't know. It feels like I have less and less time to do things like that.
Yeah.
Speaking of TV shows, we have a announcement for Empire of the Dead. You familiar with this?
It sounds familiar.
Well, it should sound familiar because it's George A. Romero, Empire of the Dead. It's typical of the Dead. It's a zombie world created by George Romero. Is coming to the small screen. The people behind the film Tusk have announced that they will be adapting a 15-issue graphic novel, Empire of the Dead, which was written by George Romero and published by Marvel. They're going to be making that into a TV series. This announcement came at the Cannes Film Festival. The series will be written by George Romero and longtime partner Peter Grunwald, and executive produced by Romero and Grunwald. And basically, the comic series, I guess, focuses on a zombie plague set in New York, but it also adds vampires to the mix.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I've read little bits and pieces on this and stuff, and that's really cool, though, that it's going to be involving vampires and stuff, too, because it was like strictly zombies. I mean, the TV market with zombie-based television shows there's a lot. Well, that's going on right now with that, so, but that's kind of cool.
What I'm feeling about this is that, okay, Romero is obviously past his prime. Everybody knows that. But he created fucking zombies, dude. Like, I feel like he still no matter how dried up that well is, I feel like it'll never be dry enough to where he still couldn't come up with interesting ideas. And if he's writing it and letting the, technical aspect go in the hands of, new young people, then maybe we have something here.
I think this could work, though, man. Maybe he's going to put a unique twist on vampirism in there, too.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Which I think is a good idea. I mean, vampires who need to suck blood probably have a hard time sucking blood when the world's infested with dead people without blood.
Or, because I can't see the vampires, feasting on the Walking Dead.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's an interesting premise. Pretty cool. So
yeah. So after that, this is some funny news. Man, this is something... I swear we've been talking about this since we've created the podcast. Amityville Awakening. This is the new, big level Amityville film that, Dimension is behind.
Yeah.
We've heard so much about it. People have come out who are involved, says like it's really good and stuff. Well, it was supposed to come out... I think it's been delayed a couple times now, right? I think that it was the second, the last time it was supposed to hit in January, and then it got pushed to, sometime like way later, and now it's being pushed to April 15th of 2016, which is almost a year from now.
What?
Yeah. I believe it was supposed to be released last January, and they pulled it to do some extra footage, to film some extra stuff.
Wow. What did they just refilm the whole thing? or something.
I have no idea, dude.
That's a big difference in time right there.
Yeah, and it was known as Amityville: The Reawakening, and they shortened the title to Amityville: Awakening. It's like they keep to me it feels like they don't know what to do with this film. Like they're looking for the perfect time to release it. I feel like it's already almost done, or it has to be done.
There's already 9 Amityville films, and this one's actually connected to the original series, right? So, yeah, maybe they're just really struggling for that original idea because they've kind of covered a lot of different.
But it's filmed already. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's more of a marketing thing. Like how do we market this film? Do we release it when The Conjuring 2 comes out? Do we, what do we do with it?
It probably is completely something like that because, there's been a few Amityville films, or not related to the original series, but there's been a few films that have come out in the last year that have had Amityville or, in the title that aren't even related.
Yeah.
So maybe it is that they're kind of waiting out that because people are always capitalizing, just put Amityville in there and oh, fuck, go and grab that and shit. And it's no, it's not even related to the original series. But I think it's kind of interesting how many Amityville films have came out. I think there's been a couple since the remake came out. What year was the remake again? I always ask that.
It was 2006, dude, because I went and seen it at the movies with a girlfriend.
So
middle school.
So they've done a couple Amityville films since that were related to the original franchise, but they never did a sequel to the remake or anything. I just find that interesting, that they're still pumping out these ones to the original franchise. It's kind of strange, man.
It's nuts, dude.
It's so strange.
But that was directed by the director of P2 and Maniac, the remake.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. I actually really enjoy both those films. So.
Yep. After that, we have a announcement from the people who directed Paranormal Activity 3 and 4. They also was the people behind Catfish. They have a new production under Blumhouse, who, of course, Blumhouse did stuff like Sinister and Paranormal Activity, and they're still doing big things. Blumhouse is a decent, company for, especially Ghostlies that aren't bad.
Ghostlies that aren't bad.
Yeah. The film. Well, that's strange. The film is called Viral, and it's slated to be released in February of 2016.
Really? Viral?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? That's so unoriginal. Come on, man. They just had, a third installment in a found footage series called VHS Viral.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Viral. There's other films called Viral.
This is the plot.
This is what we're gonna start this conversation again. And you're gonna type in Viral, and then you're gonna get 14 films come up with that title. And you're like, which one is it?
Yeah. Struggling after a recent family tragedy, teenager Emma Drakeford begins a video documentary about her life for a school project. Her life is turned upside down as a terrifying virus sweeps through her small town, turning her friends and neighbors into vicious monsters. Quarantined with her family, Emma believes they are out of harm's way, but when the contagion finally infiltrates their home, Emma and her family are faced with an impossible decision. If someone you love becomes a threat, do you kill them in cold blood or save them at the risk of your own life? This is obviously very zombie sounding right?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. It also sounds very like Wreck and Quarantine, right?
Exactly. So is this actually a found footage film? Because it said she was.
It does sound.
It sounds like it's found footage, which isn't necessarily a problem. But just by the description on it,
she's found footage already because
video diaries. Yeah,
I've seen a lot of good ones, but
if it is found footage or kind of that style, then it is going to kind of pertain and relate to a lot of films like that.
Yeah, like Wreck and
exactly. So it kind of has that feel, or just by the sound, it just makes it have that feel to it. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Either do you kill them in cold blood, or I don't know. I guess it depends on what they got you for Christmas. If their gift was shitty, then you fucking take them out, man. Well, I don't know. You got to make really weird decisions like that. You're like, well, you fucking forgot my birthday last year, so you know what? Here's a hammer to the head.
Carrots. So obviously it's produced by Blumhouse, and it is actually, they're kind of saying that it is a terrifying new twist on the monster movie. So it sounds less like zombies and maybe more like, Splinter, like maybe like a monster type, you know what I mean? Like just some kind of, so
these are actually like monsters.
Yeah, I mean, that makes it sound a little more interesting to me than...
See, it doesn't sound like straight
zombies.
up like zombies. If they're actually monsters like, you know, some kind of created monster, maybe the twist is they turn into humans. Wouldn't that be weird?
Yeah.
That would be
they're
so
also
fucked up.
saying that this is the first in a trilogy, so they're going with that.
Oh, man. I don't know, man. You know, don't you get a little sketched out when you hear that?
Yeah, because that's
like,
very
the first
ballsy. Because there's two ways you can look at it. One, these people really believe in what they're doing, and they know that it's going to do well.
Which isn't a bad thing. At least
two,
you know, they have confidence.
They just are trying to trick you into thinking that.
Well, that's definitely a possibility too. I don't know, man. This whole trilogy thing, like, you know, I just keep thinking about the movie Muck. I haven't even seen it yet, but I've heard mostly bad things about it. But I don't understand why they released that film, and apparently it's like the middle part of the story. You know, why would you do that?
Really?
Yeah, like Muck apparently.
This?
Muck is apparently like a trilogy. It's a story, and Muck is like the middle film.
That's
right?
Interesting. That's a good idea if you do it right.
But apparently it's very confusing because from what I've heard and, you know, what I've watched and read and stuff, the movie literally starts like in the middle of the story, and then there's people that are missing, and there's things that are unexplained, obviously, because there's a first part of the film.
I love that idea.
And then Muck ends abruptly, and people are like, well, it just ends abruptly. And I'm like, well, if it's supposed to be the middle part of the story, of course it is. It's not the fucking end. So I think if you take it for what it is, but I think a lot of people are just confused as hell, like, especially if you didn't know what was going on with, you know, the story behind it, this being the middle part of the story. It can be very confusing, but I don't know, man. But again, my point that I'm trying to make here is that it's another trilogy, you know, of films. So, Jesus, a lot of fucking trilogies, man.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
Next up, we have an acquisition from Magnet. It came with a little slogan, 12 hours, 4 killers, no way out. It's called Tiger House. It's supposed to be some sort of new slasher. It follows a teenager who sneaks into her boyfriend Mark's house to deliver some sobering news that she's pregnant. But tonight, she is the only unwelcome visitor as an armed gang breaks in. Mark's father manages a bank, and the gang plan on using Doug's help to carry out a daring heist using his captive's family as leverage. Their plan quickly unravels when, during the ensuing struggle, the gang's leader, Shane, gets injured and is left on Mark's bed, fading in and out of consciousness. Unbeknownst to the intruders, a terrified, vulnerable Kelly is only inches away under the very same bed. From her cramped and hiding position, Kelly overhears everything and now knows too much, putting her life in terrible danger. Now Kelly must draw on all her reserves and strength, skills and dexterity to escape. As the situation spirals out of control, the suburban house becomes a terrifying arena for violence. Faced with no alternative, she must turn and fight back. Sounds very plot heavy. I mean, it does sound like one of those, like, you know, tense type movies, very suspenseful, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't sound too bad. What do you think?
I don't know. It sounds okay, I guess.
It's typical home invasion, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it seems like a lot of these type of films these days have been trying to work out not having that straightforward type, you know, film, putting some pretty decent twists into them, so we'll see.
This one, to me, sounds like a mix between, like, The Collector and, like, You're Next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little bit. It does, actually. So I think what really separates these films is that you have to have, like, you know, a good enough twist or something in there. You know, you got to have something come out of left field, man, because there is so many straightforward ones, and
you have to have a lot of tension and suspense because
Home Invasion's
orders it is.
Home Invasion's a tricky one because the premise is basically very similar in every film, right?
Mm-hmm.
you're being home invaded,
Yeah.
right? So you need, like, these films are tricky, man. There's a lot, in my opinion, that are misses, but there is some really good ones. But who knows? It's one of these films that I would check out. I like home invasion films. I find they're just fucking terrifying to me, man.
Yeah. Well,
Like I've stated so many times, I find them just like, that's the craziest shit. Maybe not the craziest shit, but for me, it's like, it terrifies me.
Yeah, for me, home invasion kind of hinges on the amount of plot holes, because there's always some normally, and as long as they keep them to a minimum and they deliver on like the terror and the suspense, they work for me. But the ones that are just riddled with plot holes just drive me crazy, like The Purge.
Exactly.
So that film is actually going to be released on VOD in October through Magnet. Good time for those type of films. October is definitely a high watch for people who are into horror films, or even people who are not, because it seems like everybody's into horror films in October.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
After that, we have a announcement for World War Z 2. Apparently, they have now finally, Paramount that is announcing a release date, which is June 9th of 2017.
June 9th. So is Brad Pitt signed on for this thing too?
I have no idea. It's pretty limited right now. They just kind of announced the release date.
I'm actually quite surprised how much after the fact that they announced a sequel to that, because that movie did pretty good, didn't it?
It did really well worldwide, like all together. By the time it was all said and done, it definitely made money. But you know, I really thought that there was going to be a sequel quicker than that.
Yeah,
I mean, they did announce it right away, but it's like most of these like big. It's kind of like
no. I know they did. I just thought maybe it'd be coming out a lot quicker.
Yeah,
you know, with a a Hollywood film like that, they really try to pounce on it. I mean, before like with any type of Hollywood films, like what are those Liam Neeson films called? Taken. There's already 3 of them.
Yeah.
Like they're pumping those things out like crazy, man. Like, I'm just really surprised they didn't just like bang, it was like out this summer kind of thing, So
I think what it has to do is there's so many cogs and moving parts that it's like there's probably like every decision you make probably has to go through like 8 people signing off on it, which probably just takes forever. So it's very slow moving when you're talking about like $300 million budget movies and stuff like that. One thing that I will note is when you type out World War Z and then put a 2 next to it, it looks really retarded. Just saying.
That's interesting. It's good that you noted that, though.
Yeah.
So next time when I type in, World War Z2, I'll be thinking of that.
Yeah, just look at it. I'm telling you, you're there. I wouldn't be surprised if they like drop the 2 and add something else, because it really does look stupid next to each other, because the Z looks really similar to the 2.
I think what would be cooler if they did it in Roman numerals, so you got Z and then
that might look a little better.
Yeah, so might also be very confusing too.
Yeah. So after that, Friday the 13th, we get a double update. I believe Shock to You Drop first reported an update, and then Bloody Disgusting reported one a few days later. So apparently, Brad Fuller, who is one of the producers at Platinum Dunes, says that they kind of just got stalled out, and he thinks that the movie, they were obviously thinking about found footage, and they decided to move away from that because of fan outcry. So once again, we mentioned it earlier, fans do have a voice, and it will be heard if you scream loud enough. They were just kind of overwhelmed with the negative feedback for the idea of doing Friday the 13th found footage. So I think that's why it was ultimately delayed, because maybe they were going that route and they realized like, maybe we shouldn't do this. They even hired David Bruckner, who, of course, was most known for his found footage segment in VHS, the one with the succubus. And all signs pointed to found footage when that happened. So I think they reassessed everything. They was like, okay, let's drop the found footage thing. Let's rewrite the script, which is currently what they're doing now, I believe. They said, hopefully we're getting the script within the next month or 2, and then we'll be ready to go back to Crystal Lake.
Nice. Well, that's good.
Yeah, so they listened. A little bit more of the news came from Bloody Disgusting when the screenwriter actually got on Twitter a few months ago. He posted some images of machetes, like different style machetes, you know, obviously hinting at Friday the 13th. Now he got on there and he said that this will not be a sequel to the 2009 remake. This is actually supposed to be it's going to have different characters, different time period. So I'm guessing that they're going back to the 80s. So maybe this is going to be more of a unofficial sequel to the original films. It's going to be set in that world.
Cool.
Does that sound exactly like what everybody's been wanting?
Well, I guess these fans have been screaming, right? They haven't been talking. They haven't been whispering. They've been screaming. You know, at what they want. And, you know, it's a good point, man. You know, you have to voice or scream what you want to, and you know, it works. I think we're starting to realize that it actually does work. So people, don't be afraid to say something.
Yeah.
I think they're listening, man, because, you know, this whole found footage, it got everyone terrified, you know, and throw out some ideas and look what's happening.
I mean, dude, you know that I love the Friday the 13th films. The listeners know by now. It's my favorite franchise. I love the Jason character. It's my favorite horror character of all time. I've seen those movies more than I've seen any other horror films, probably. Literally the first horror film I remember watching was Friday the 13th Part 7. Like, it's so ingrained in my life and my childhood that I honestly just want another Friday the 13th. And, you know, I'm actually getting more than what I was asking for, because now it seems like they're actually doing something that I would have wanted to see, but I thought they wouldn't do. So I think, if anything, we're seeing this a lot now, where there had been a remake that comes out because they say, we want to reboot the franchise, right? We want to reboot the franchise, then we'll have our own sequels that follow our storyline that we set up. And then that remake comes out, and every once in a while you'll get a sequel, like with Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, it's like one and done. They do a remake, and then they're like, well, maybe we should go back to what it originally was. And then they kind of ignore the remake. We've seen it with the Chainsaw films. There was another one that was recently announced. I forget what it was. But it does seem like it's more going towards that. Like, all of these studios are now ignoring the remakes that they set up. The whole idea, set it up. Let's make the remake. Then we'll go from that storyline. But now it seems like, let's go back to what we was doing. And I like it, but at the same time, it's kind of like, well, what the hell was the point in the first place? You know what I mean? Exactly.
Yeah, it gets a little confusing, too.
Yeah, you're going to have like 8 different storylines like this is fucking Halloween.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. What is this, the Halloween franchise?
Yeah. So after that was kind of the last little bit of news for like the main news. Then we have like some DVD announcements and shit like that. It Follows has been announced from Anchor Bay Home Entertainment. This will hit digital HD July 3rd and Blu-ray DVD on demand July 14th. Of course, that's from Anchor Bay. It Follows got a lot of great reviews. It hit the indie circuit, did really well, got into theaters. We followed it through its life cycle, and now we're finally going to be able to see it in July.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited for this. I've heard pretty good things, so.
Yeah. After that, Scream Factory announces The Editor. This is a film put out by... Who's the people that made this film?
Astron 6.
Astron 6. Okay, so apparently it's supposed to be sort of like a throwback, seedy 1970s giallo Italian type film. Sounds really cool, to be honest. I was reading the synopsis and I was like, this kind of sounds decent, like, to me. Like, I love that style.
I'm so stoked for this, man, because like Astron 6 they've done so much different stuff. If you watch all their shorts, and then of course Father's Day and Manborg, and like, they're completely different films. And so this is a really interesting idea. I want to see how they tackle this, because they're really creative. They're funny. They're actually really good filmmakers, to be honest. You know, especially when you, like I said, if you really explore their short films, like their short things that they did. There was a set released by Trome a few years ago. It was 2 discs, and it's like 5 or 6 hours of shorts and stuff. It's really interesting, but it kind of gives you an idea of their, their versatility, in their filmmaking. They're all over the place. So this one's really interesting. But the thing that's really caught my eye about The Editor is the different cover arts that they've had for it. There's so many cool poster arts for The Editor. It's just so intriguing. Have you seen a bunch of them?
I think I've seen a handful of them.
Yeah, they're like really cool, man. Like I actually want one of those posters. So
Yeah.
But yeah, this is one release that I'm super stoked for. I'm so happy that Scream Factory picked up I think this is gonna be awesome.
Yeah, Scream Factory is doing some decent stuff. I mean, their partnership with IFC Midnight and now grabbing this film, it seems like they're slowly starting to move away from the chiller sci-fi type films.
Which is probably a good thing. I mean, they haven't really been the best,
I used to get really excited for them. Like, I loved Beneath. Like, even though it had major problems, like, I had a lot of fun watching that one. And then you move on to shit like Dark Hall and what was the other one we covered? Animal. Like, they were...
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
they're
not the
starting to get pretty
greatest.
bad.
They're definitely forgettable. But, you know, recently they released Extraterrestrial and, which was an IFC pickup from them. And that, you know, it just proves again that their IFC releases are really good.
Yeah.
They're releasing some good stuff. The Babadook.
One of their big films that was not a chiller film or a sci-fi film. This was actually just a acquisition that they captured was The Battery. And that was literally one of the best things they've put out. So, yeah. I mean, if the editor is anything similar to that in terms of like just this, you know, film that was created, didn't grab it through any type of channels or anything like that they just saw potential in and picked it up. Like, I like the idea of them doing that more.
Oh, me too, man. Yeah, I'm always down. Like, you know me, I like my older films, and I really like to see companies release those obscure 80s type films and stuff. But, you know, if you're going to be releasing stuff like The Editor and shit like that, I mean, I'm all for it too, man. Big props.
After that, Scream Factory announced Wormwood, which is subtitled Road of the Dead. This is a Australian-produced take on the zombie genre. It's gotten a lot of buzz from press outlets such as RogerEbert.com, Variety, Hollywood Reporter, IGN Movies, and Entertainment Weekly.
And once again, you know, this one is... Did IFC pick up this?
Yeah, this is an IFC Scream Factory production, I guess.
I've heard. I'm really stoked for this one too. Actually, I've heard lots of good things. So
yeah,
and you know, I love me some Aussie flicks, man.
You know,
so.
I will say that, like you mentioned, Extraterrestrial. I've heard some people say that it's a complete dud, and others say that they loved it. And I heard the exact same things with Wormwood. It seems like some people like it, and some people think that it's a dud.
Well, it was odd, man. You know, like Matt. You know, he posted a you know, it on the Facebook page there, and he said, "Oh, I watched Extraterrestrial. I didn't like it. I thought it was terrible. Blah blah blah." But oddly enough, you know, Tom Horsbald watched it the same night, and me and my buddy Dylan had watched it on the same night too. Like, I think everybody must have got it in the mail that morning or something. And it was funny because it seemed like all the comments after that we all liked it except for Matt.
Yeah, so, which is odd because Matt seems like he likes films like that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. By the sounds of it, I think he was a little preoccupied with something. He might just need to revisit it. But I thought it was a lot of fun. You know, I had no problem with the aliens being CG. They actually looked pretty good. You know, it wasn't like that really shitty type look or whatever. But you know, there was a lot of cliches in the film with visual things, like just the way the aliens looked, and also what they were, you know, their alien craft and stuff. Me and Dylan had a pretty good laugh about that. But it didn't, you know, it just felt right when you watched it though. That was the good thing. It actually felt proper. So, I don't know. And the ending was awesome. So the ending didn't suck, which helped.
Yeah. So, Wormwood will be available August 4th of 2015. And then they announced Ejecta, a horrific alien invasion forces two men to fight for their lives during the universe-altering Night of Terror. This one will be August 18th of 2015. So a week apart on those ones, or a week or two.
Directed by Chad Archibald. I most recently did a review for Anchor Bay of his new film, The Drownsman. Chad Archibald is actually the head of Black Fawn Distribution in Canada. People didn't know that. And oddly enough, you know, he's been involved with quite a few films that have come out recently. It's so weird, man. All of his films that he's been involved with haven't been released by Black Fawn. Don't you find that a little strange? Like, it is interesting. Yeah. A few years ago, he directed a film called Kill that was released by Troma. The Drownsman was released by Anchor Bay. Eject is being released by IFC and Scream Factory. And he was producers on films like Hellmouth, which I just recently reviewed also. These are shameless plugs, by the way. Oh, actually, no, I did lie. He was a producer on In the House of Flies, which was released by Black Fawn. But he was a producer on Antisocial with... Did you see Antisocial from a couple years back?
No, I didn't.
Okay, that was released, I believe, by Anchor Bay or something. I can't remember.
I've seen it in the red box, but I never picked it up.
Okay, and he also was a producer on Septic Man, which was a film that I was... I loved from last year.
I think that was the pick of the week, actually.
Yeah, and so he's been involved in quite a few films, and so I don't know. I wasn't like the biggest fan of The Drownsman. Some people liked it, some people... That was another one that was really mixed recently, I found. Like people are like, oh, really? You didn't like it? And I'm like, well, it wasn't really for me, but this Ejective film actually looks pretty interesting. I'm pretty stoked for it because, I'm liking these, these more contemporary releases, and who says horror's dead, right?
Right. Yeah, so after that, I figured I'd just go through this real quick because Scream Factory did announce all the release dates for their Summer of Fear Part 2. It started with Mad Max, Extraterrestrial, Stigmata. Those ones are out now, I believe, or Stigmata is right about to come out.
Stigmata is out. I actually got the Blu-ray in the mail the other day and laughed. I have a Blu-ray of Stigmata. Why?
Yeah.
But, it wasn't definitely not my favorite release, but it's just an upgrade I never need to make. But unfortunately, I have serious problems when it comes to Scream Factory, and that's why I have Stigmata on Blu-ray. Continue.
They also mentioned, announced the Gunwoman, the double feature of Food of the Gods and Frogs, and the double feature of Empire of the Ants and Jaws of Satan, which we'll talk about later. Then in June...
Those three releases are so fantastic, man. That's a good second half of May.
Yeah.
Right there. Yeah.
And then in June, man, June got some heavy hitters as well. You got Scarecrows making its Blu-ray debut. Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3. Which are not here yet, but everybody else seems to be getting them already. That pisses me off, actually. I pre-ordered them right when the same day they announced the link. And last time I checked, mine are still in freaking Indiana.
Oh, fucking Indiana.
So, then they have, Tentacles and Repticulous.
Repticulous, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Tentacles is a fun film. I've never actually seen Repticulous. Bleh, whatever, but Tentacles is awesome. It's like it's an Italian flick. It's fun.
And then after those four, still in June, you have the long... It's almost a myth at this point, the mythological Dog Soldiers. I heard it existed, and apparently it's coming out.
Yeah.
Long delayed. They announced that one early, dude. They announced that back in like the beginning. Like
I think Dog Soldiers might even have the most delays out of any film that they've released so far.
Oh yeah, for sure. It had a handful of delays, and the one delay was like a year later or something. Then of course, last for June, you have Ghost House and Witchery in a double feature.
Oh, that's fantastic, man. Ghost House making its Region 1 premiere right there. Witchery is a pretty funny Italian film with Linda Blair and David Hasselhoff. Seriously, it's actually pretty fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another good release, though.
Yeah. So it looks like June has a really solid lineup. And then in July, you have 8. You have freaking 8 movies in July.
I know.
That is just ridiculous. First up, you have Robot Jocks from Stuart Gordon, which I'm oddly interested in.
Mm-hmm. I've never seen it. I just knew that Stuart Gordon directed, so it's intriguing.
Then you have another IFC Midnight in Alien Outpost. Don't know much about it, but it looks like right along the lines is they do a lot of Alien films. I noticed.
Yeah, they do.
And then after that, you have another IFC, and it's actually one that I'm really looking forward to. This is from director Paul Solet, who you might remember from Grace. It's his film Dark Summer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that actually looked pretty intriguing.
Yeah. Then you have The Howling 2, which...
Yeah.
Then you have a lot of negativity on these two, and that is a double feature of The Outing and Godsend and Cellar Dweller and Catacombs.
I think it was more to the fact that they had originally said that these weren't going to come to Blu-ray.
Yeah.
And now they're being released on Blu-ray, and people are like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What happened there? So, I mean, I can see it, but...
Yeah. After that, you have I, Madman, which I think you called that from a mile away.
That was one I had on a list for Scream Factory. I think they were going to release, and they actually did. I think that's cool because, the DVD is out of print, so this will give a chance, to people who have never seen it. So...
Yeah. And finally, one that I think everybody is pumped for, and that is Ghost Town. That's for the final one in July.
Yes, I've actually never seen Ghost Town. I've always loved the poster art for it, and it just looks awesome.
I seen it when I was a kid. I remember certain images from it because it was on a VHS, like a recorded VHS that had Elm Street 4 and Ghost Town on it. And I used to watch those two back to back, but I really don't remember Ghost Town that much. I'm sure once I see it, it'll all come back to me. But I'm really excited to revisit that one. And then in August, this is the end of the summer affair with 8 more releases. You have the Toolbox Murders 2, which is such a weird release for them.
Well, I was reading a little thing on that the other day, and apparently the release that was called, there's another name for it. It wasn't
Baby.
Coffin Baby was actually a bootleg release. It was actually unofficially released by
really?
whoever did it. Yeah. So this is the official, actual full cut of the film.
Yeah, I hear this is also a different cut as well. Like I guess this had a ton of production issues. So that actually interests me because anytime, even if it's like a terrible film, anytime you're able to get something that was unavailable and put it out there, I think that's a win.
So that's cool. So the people have seen Coffin Baby. I've heard mostly negative things, but yeah, that's not even the official cut of the film. The director did not approve that. So if you do have a copy of that, toss it out. Wait for the Toolbox Murders 2. Maybe it'll be better. Who knows? I mean, I didn't really like the first one.
No.
I mean, the remake of the Toolbox Murders. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
That. Then you have Wormwood. Of course, that was one of the films we mentioned earlier. Then a huge release for me. That's The People Under the Stairs. This is coming out August 11th. Oh my God. That cover art, dude. Love it.
Yeah, it's one of the better ones. Really cool. Yeah.
This is definitely a tentpole for me. Just a cool release. I've been waiting for it for a long time. I'm happy it's getting one from Scream Factory. I'm sure there's going to be awesome features. Wes Craven. I mean, this is really one of the films that he's not had a chance and an opportunity to have a stage to talk about enough. And I feel like, with Wes Craven as well as John Carpenter and Stuart Gordon and all these guys, like, they're not going to be around forever. So that's one of the things I love about Scream Factory. Even though they're releasing a lot of these tentpole titles, sometimes they're not the underground, like, unreleased films that we want every one of them to be. You still have these ones where you get to hear these masters talk about some of their films, and it's kind of like the definitive version of the film once it is released. Yep. Then you have Nomads. Don't know anything about that one.
I don't know. It's not that appealing to me. So I don't know.
Who knows though? Who knows? Neither was the fucking what was it? The one movie you seen, the Love at First Bite or fucking Love Kiss of whatever the hell it was.
Oh, Vampire's Kiss?
Yeah, Vampire's Kiss, yeah.
Oh my God.
Nicolas Cage. Was that who it was?
Yeah.
I couldn't fucking remember his name.
Dude, that movie is beyond over the top. It's so ridiculous.
So after that, you have Ejecta, which is like another Alien one. Then you have The Sentinel and The Legacy. Those are both Universal titles.
Yeah, The Legacy, that's cool, man.
Yeah. And finally, for August, which will wrap up the summer affair completely, you have Metamorphosis and Beyond Darkness in a double feature.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. A couple Italian films there that don't have releases over here. So,
yeah, we just have a few more pieces of news here. Full Moon. I mentioned this a while back, but I figured I would just get your thoughts on it really quickly. They announced these variant cover art releases. They are a DVD. Their first one was Bloodstone Subspecies 2 with new cover art. Just picture what Scream Factory does for their collector's editions. It's like newly designed artwork. And it is signed by the director, Ted Nicolai, and Charles Band on the back, also numbered out of 250. No new special features. It just has the vidcast on it. It costs $20, free shipping through Amazon Prime, I believe. And they're trying to target the I forget exactly what word they mentioned, but it was like the extreme horror collector or something. The ultimate collector is what they said. Each month they'll release a new one. Next month, I believe, is Puppet Master, I think. and then the Intruders after that. So what do you think, man?
Well, I think this is definitely, I mean, they're right about that. This is mostly appealing to the hardcore collectors because, I mean, Puppet Master and Bloodstone 2, or Subspecies 2, have been released on Blu-ray. So I think a lot of collectors, they have probably the older DVDs and the Blu-rays already. Are they going to go revert back and buy a DVD for the average collector just for the new commissioned art? Probably not. This is more exactly for the hardcore collectors that like to, have alternate editions and different cover arts and stuff. I consider myself to be, I don't know. I guess it really depends. For those type of films, no, I'm not going to go out of my way to buy the newly commissioned artwork on DVD, considering I have them on Blu-ray and DVD already.
What's the selling point here? That's what is it?
Maybe the autograph,
the signed. And it's signed and limited. So it's like those weird like hard boxes that there's like 50 of. Like, yeah. I never really
is the limited. I think a lot of people do get a little pissed off when they buy something limited that actually isn't numbered because they feel a little ripped off at times. You're going, well, is this actually really limited?
Yeah.
So if you see a release that's actually numbered of 250 and you got number 34 and it's signed and everything, I think that's the appeal. It's a very limited pressing and people go after those things and that's what the appeal is, in my opinion.
Let me ask you this: what if you took this same exact idea, right? Bloodstone Subspecies 2 would be the first release. Let's say you change the number from 250 to 1,000. You also make it a Blu-ray, and you keep the new cool cover art, maybe throw it on a slipcover like Scream Factory does, have the original cover art on the reverse side, and then have new special features. And maybe say it's $25 instead of 20. Does that interest you anymore? It's still signed by both director and Charles Band, but now it's 1,000 copies.
You know what? It actually does appeal a little more because it is a Blu-ray. I'll be honest, like the Puppet Master Blu-ray is not overly the greatest in quality, like picture quality, but I mean they are in widescreen, which is good. So I think it would just depend on, if maybe if it's like a new transfer. Maybe be a little more appealing. But I mean, that setup right there just screams Scream Factory.
Oh yeah. But
the appeal's there.
The difference is that it's signed.
But it is a Blu-ray though.
Yeah.
So I can't see myself just going out of the way to buy a limited DVD release just for new sanctioned cover art, especially when there's no features and you're literally buying it for that. Or maybe the appeal is just the signed and numbered edition.
It's just not enough. It's not enough to get me to want to pick these up. Like, I love the idea of like, let's make a series, right? We'll do one a month, like collect them all type thing. We're going to have, 25 of them total. They're going to be numbered on the spine. They're going to be signed. They're going to be these cool, it would be an awesome thing to have the full collection. But when you're just giving me that and new cover art on a DVD, it's not worth it. It just, it's kind of pointless.
It's totally not that appealing, to be honest. I mean, yeah, again, the appeal having the numbers on the spines and maybe creating a picture or something like that. Like, I think that's what they're doing with the Jess Franco line. Yeah. Whenever they decide to drop the first one. I don't know when that's going to be happening, but that's kind of cool. There's 10 and that they're supposed to be coming out one a month and, they're numbered and pictured
I like
or whatever.
that idea at its core, but I just feel like this is just a for me cash in.
It is. That's what it feels like. But the appeal for the Jess Franco is that I actually don't even own any of those 10 films.
No, that's a good one. Like, I like that. That they did that one
more obscure. Some of them haven't been released over here. But these, Puppet Master films and Subspecies, how many releases has there been? I mean, for fuck's sakes, 88 films just released Puppet Master.
Good releases too. Right?
And the, those, they're releasing all those type of films and those releases are good. So are people really gonna, just grab? I don't know.
Yeah. They're not even that good at movies, to be honest. Like, honestly, we like them, right? But they're not bona fide like classics. Yeah. Like Puppet Master might be, but there's no way Subspecies 2 is.
Yeah, Subspecies 3 is actually my favorite one in that franchise.
Subspecies 2 is my favorite, but they're still kind of bad. Moving on from that, we have Dead Silence. I thought this was super interesting. It's finally coming to Blu-ray August 11th from, forget who put that out or who's going to be putting that out. If it's like Universal or Paramount or
which film?
Dead Silence. That's James Wan's
killer
Puppet.
That movie wasn't on Blu-ray before?
Right? Isn't that crazy? Like, it just seems like one of those titles that would have just been released by now. It's like Saw or something, you know?
That is kind of strange, actually. Wow, they just decided to put out it on Blu-ray after all these years.
Yeah, it's finally coming, which is good because I actually don't own it, and I will be picking that up because I actually like that movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't see myself upgrading it. I have the DVD. It's a good movie. I actually really do enjoy it.
Yeah.
So, but I mean,
Yeah. So finally for the news, wow, this has been a long one. We have fucking Fangoria actually reported this, I believe, but there is a film called Angst. It's from 1983 and it is finally hitting US. I know, actually finally. On the big screen and in home formats this year. It is coming to us from called Epix, who also released a few of George films.
You know that guy that directed those necromantic films?
Yeah, and Toad's King.
Yeah.
So yeah, this film, I guess I read somewhere that the guy who it inspired like some shit. I just can't remember what it inspired. I actually should have took a note of that. But yeah, I mean, this is pretty cool. It sounds like it's some sort of it's based on a real life case of German serial killer Werner Kneisig, a madman who is released from prison. As we hear his extremely troubled thoughts on the soundtrack, breaks into an unoccupied house. Bad news for the owners when they return home. The film has been celebrated for its camera work and score, and acclaimed filmmaker blah blah. Gaspar Noé has often cited it as his key inspiration. So yeah, it's going to be uncut, uncensored. It's the first. I don't know if has it been released here before?
No, I don't think it's been released in Region 1. It has, I believe, a German release, or it's got some type of European. I was going to import a long time ago, just opted out of it for price reasons, but, thankfully waiting it out, and big ups to Cult Epix for picking up all these European films and releasing it.
It's going to be released on DVD and Blu-ray August 18th, featuring an optically restored murder scene, and the option to play the movie with or without the prologue. The discs will include audio commentaries and interviews. Man,
I've always
shout out
to
to Cult
Epix,
dude.
Yeah, I've always wanted to see this film too. I've just never had a chance because there was bootlegs roaming around for a lot of years and two, but I'm not really one to pick them up all that much, So
yeah, Cult
exactly.
Epix is good peoples, man. They're putting out some fun stuff, dude. Like, I from their line that I've seen, the Necromantics and the Deathbed film, like those were really interesting films to put out in like such a high, quality format in Blu-ray, and now they got Toad's King coming out, which I know very little about, but it's very intriguing. And now Angst, this is going to be cool.
Yeah, they've been doing big things for years. Actually, they put out a lot of good stuff, but yeah, they're really hitting hard right now. So very, very cool.
And that's actually going to wrap up the news.
Alrighty. Yeah, that was a lot of news.
Yeah.
I have to say that was actually quite a bit of news. So, so obviously we've been gone a few weeks here. There's been lots of releases over the last few weeks. I'm probably not going to get into them. You guys know what.
Yeah, I actually did cover them on that mini shots that I put out the 2 weeks that we was off.
Okay, yeah, I actually haven't even listened to that. So I think some of the viewers out there, listeners, have heard that, and I haven't even heard it yet. Been so busy, I can't even listen to my own show. Well, I guess it was your show, wasn't it? It was the double shot.
Well, I mean, you made an appearance. I actually added the bloopers in there. And one of the funny things that I heard people say was if you remember during the recording of the 50 most influential horror films of the last 50 years, we had that super long pause where we was arguing about Grade 5.
Oh my God, you put that in there? Shut the fuck up.
I did. I edited it down a little bit, but it plays really funny. I even busted out laughing when I was listening.
Oh my God. Now I really have to listen to that this weekend. That's too funny.
Yeah.
That's so good. That's so good. Yeah. So, the DVD and Blu-ray releases for May 26, 2015. Of course, we just covered a couple of them. First couple from Scream Factory, got a double feature of The Food of the Gods and Frogs, of course, coming out, which we just mentioned, and Empire of the Ants and Jaws of Satan. Very, very cool.
I've actually seen 0 of those 4.
Yeah, Empire of the Ants and Frogs I've seen. I've never seen the original Food of the Gods, and I've never seen Jaws of Satan, so that's kind of cool. And then next up from Grindhouse Releasings, we've got Cannibal Ferox, the triple disc release from, of course, Grindhouse. Going to be pretty much on the same lines as like their Cannibal Holocaust and Beyond and stuff, with the soundtrack and, very, very awesome. Super stoked for Cannibal Ferox. Oh yeah, man, they're killing it this year, man. They've released so many good titles. Amazing stuff. Next up from Kino, not a horror film, but one that I'm really interested in. Actually, there's 2 of them on here. And that's Enter the Ninja and, of course, the sequel Revenge of the Ninja.
Are these
that's coming out? These are the 2 films that are the precede Ninja 3 that Scream Factory released. And these ones are nothing like that one. I remember when Ninja 3 came out, everyone was like, what the hell is this? So different. But yeah, these are just straight up ninja films, but they're fucking awesome. Franco Nero, you can't go wrong with Franco Nero in the first one. So, and then of course another film that we just mentioned is, from Scream Factory, and that is Gunwoman. I've heard nothing but good things about this one. I'm so stoked to check it out.
Yeah, that's a cool cover too, man.
Yeah, man. This is so awesome that Scream Factory picked this up, because I was actually going to import this from the UK, and then they announced it, and I was like, perfect. That worked out well. Next up from Arrow Video America, or USA, Island of Death, which was released on DVD by Arrow Video in the UK a couple of years back, but they decided to release it on Blu-ray now, and this movie is fucking bizarre. Basically, the director went out of his way to just do shocking things in this one. It has like I don't want to ruin anything, but it's got like some, animal fucking and like what incest. It's got all this type of weird shit going on it, man. He just went out of his way it was more of a, kind of a statement piece at the time for, censorship, I think, and stuff. But it's a pretty interestingly odd film. I think it's Greek. I think it's a Greek film. So,
many of those.
Yeah, I know, right? Oddly enough, actually, Mondo Macabro is starting a Greek line, and they just announced a couple films that they're releasing too, so that's kind of strange. Next up here from, I believe this is Anchor Bay is releasing this, right? Oh no, this is Dark Sky Films, and that's Let Us Pray on Blu-ray. I haven't really heard much about this one.
I haven't, to be
honest. Yeah, so I don't really know what's up with that, but I believe Madman has already been has Madman already been released in the US?
I swear I've seen people with it.
Yeah, I think they might have got some. I don't know.
Maybe they were press copies.
No, they're not press copies. They're actually convention copies, because down in Texas Frightmere and stuff, they actually had them. I was talking to the guys from Vinegar Syndrome at Wasteland in Cleveland, and they were really trying to have them there, and they said they weren't going to get them for a couple more weeks, and then they got them, and then of course they sold some off at Texas Frightmare and stuff. So that's really cool. But yeah, Madman, I think, officially getting released on May 26th. This one is very, very highly sought out, I think, by a lot of people. Mm-hmm. The DVDs have been out of print for so long, and apparently the color correction on this is proper too. So I'm really stoked to see it on Blu-ray. It's going to be awesome. Another one here from Synapse Films. They've been, kind of quiet this year.
Still waiting on all those Argentos.
That's the thing, man. They got like so many. I think they have about 6 or 7 films that have been announced. They haven't come out yet. Who knows? There's no release dates. It's really frustrating. But Samurai Avenger, The Blind Wolf. So
this looks ridiculous.
This one I actually have coming in the post right now. But it's Synapse. I like to buy their shit. They always kind of release cool stuff. But yeah, Samurai Avenger, The Blind Wolf. I don't know. It might be interesting. Next up here is a film called Delirium, which, oh my god, man. I was going through the releases here. Seriously, Delirium. I have, I think, 3 films in my collection called Delirium already. So this is another one that's ridiculous. And there's another film called Delirium that was on the Video Nasty list that doesn't even have a release. It's like really strange and odd. This one's released by Monarch Home Video. I don't know. I don't even know what it looks like. Okay, after After being missing for over a year, Emily returns home, but something came with her. A family struggling with the lack of knowledge about their missing daughter fights to keep her safe. Who can be trusted? I don't know. Who can be trusted?
I don't know. It looks terrible to me.
It does actually look pretty bad. Another one here called Drawn in Blood. I don't know, man. You think this one's actually like a horror film? I'm not really 100% sure.
I have no idea. Who's releasing that?
This one is coming out from Olive Films.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's right. I remember seeing it on the page. Okay. Next up here, we got one from Kino on the Redemption line, and that's The Escapees from Gene Roland, which I'm super, super stoked for. I'm a huge Gene Roland fan, so heard really good things. I know Brandon actually watched this one on Netflix and said it was like his favorite Gene Roland film, which is crazy to me because I've seen like all of his movies. So except for this one, I haven't seen this one, so I'm really, really stoked. This one has me intrigued because I'm a sucker for these type of films, and this one's called The House Across the Street. You know, they're really they have variations of everything for the house, right? The House Across the Street. And the cover on this is just a girl in a white dress holding a knife behind her back. Yeah,
it's actually kind of a bad cover.
It kind of is, man. It's so generic looking. And this one's coming out from Level 33 Entertainment. Who knows? I'm assuming it's like a home invasion.
Like the house looks animated and the girl looks real. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's just like kind of a bad mock-up.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. Next up is a film called Nightlife.
Nightlight.
Did I say Nightlife?
Yeah.
I did, didn't I? Nightlight. That's what I meant to say. Apparently I can't read. And this one is coming out from Lionsgate.
Yeah, it says 5 friends, 1 game, 0 chance of survival.
Well, it's one
that
of those.
That could be interesting, battle royale style type shit there, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like the most original idea in the world, but
you never know.
I guess. Yeah, you just never know. And another one from Olive Films here called Zombies from Outer Space, being released just on DVD, I think.
Yeah, this is a DVD only.
Okay, so yeah, Zombies from Outer Space coming out. I believe it's from the 50s. And that is going to do it for the DVD and Blu-ray releases for May 26th, 2015.
Some okay ones there. Madman's definitely probably the Madman, the Scream Factory releases, Cannibal Ferox. Those are some really solid ones right there. You got like a couple other cool ones like the Ninja films and stuff like that.
There's actually this week is actually pretty crazy because like I have Escapees, Samurai Avenger, the Ninja films, Madman. I'm not buying Island of Death on Blu-ray. I have the DVD. I'm fine with that. But Gunwoman, Cannibal Ferox, and the double features from Scream Factory. That's an expensive week for people, man. So I don't know, pretty decent week. So, but yeah, that's gonna do it for the releases. Yeah. All right. So should we move along into the Corners Report, courtesy of Rue Morgue magazine? And yeah, so I was flipping through the magazine today just before we were doing the show, and of course this episode is the top 10 horror films of 1968. Oddly enough, there actually is a Corners Report in the Weird Stats and Morbid Facts of a film from 1968 that may or may not be appearing on my top 10 list. I just absolutely lost my mind. This was not choreographed. This was literally just last minute thing. Open up the brand new issue. Like I said, it's issue 155 from May 2015. And so I had no choice. I have to say this one. So this is the Corners Report of Weird Stats and Morbid Facts, courtesy of Rue Morgue magazine. Gene Roland improvised most of The Rape of the Vampire from 1968 after losing the script on the 3rd day of shooting.
Jesus Christ.
So he actually lost the fucking script for the film and then improvised the whole film. I was like, are you kidding me? There's actually a fact from 1968 and we're doing the show.
There's a few issues with that. One, you only really go to shoot a movie with one script. We don't need to make any copies just in case something happens. 2, how do you lose it? Did your dog eat it?
I know. I mean, it is 1968. I guess it wasn't as easy just to go back to your computer and just print one out, kind of thing, right? Yeah. But it is strange that one script and then you lose it 3rd day shooting, which you probably didn't have anything done. Yeah. It's amazing how the film came out. Now when I think about it, I never knew that fact, right? So that's pretty interesting. but just strange, though.
That's
what are the
awesome.
chances of coming across a fact from 68 when we're doing a 68 show? Strange. Alrighty. So now what we're going to do, we're going to get into the second drawing and the next 3 winners in our contest.
Yeah.
Right, JP?
So these ones, all 3 of these names, these will be yours, Moodz. So whoever you get in here, you'll have to send some prizes to.
These are the lucky winners that are going to get some, I don't know what I'm giving out.
You'll get something.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do it here. Shake it up a little bit. All right. First name drawn out of the Country Crock butter container. And it is Joanna. What is her name? Joanna, I think.
Probably
it's the her.
Joanna.
Yeah, I said Joanna because of Joanna Jędrzejczyk, who's like the UFC strawweight champion. And I've been trying to learn her name for when I do videos like predictions and stuff. So yeah, my bad.
I believe she is part of the Facebook group. I'm not 100% sure. I know there is a girl named Joanna on there, and she may or may not be Canadian. I'm not sure. Might be Canadian. I might be wrong though. I'm usually wrong. So.
All right, next up. The second of the 3 for Moodz is Donnie. I'm not sure who Donnie is, but I know he left a voicemail.
Okay, well, congrats to Donnie.
All right, and the final one here for Moodz is Ron. I think that's Ron from Wisconsin, I believe.
Okay.
That voicemail kind of rings a bell to me.
Well, congratulations, Ron from Wisconsin. Possibly.
It's either Ron from Wisconsin or Rob from Wisconsin. One of those 2.
So if you're listening, send me your addresses, and I'll get some prizes out to you guys ASAP. Alrighty, guys. Yeah, moving along into some voicemails, and I do believe that we've got quite a few this week. So once again, I do thank you guys for phoning in. We really, really appreciate it. We have so much fun playing these. Don't we, JP? Every week?
Yeah, it's cool. The only negative to the voicemails is hearing my phone ring at like 3 o'clock in the morning. But I usually put it on silent when I sleep anyway. But it's always a pleasure to wake up to some voicemails. It's fun. So yeah, first up we have one here from the longtime caller, longtime listener, Brandon.
Hey guys, it's Brandon. Great episode 50. Listen to it straight through till 4:30 in the morning. Wonderful.
What a soldier.
Couldn't argue with any of the choices and where they ended up. It was great. As far as the meaning of the ninth configuration, as far as I know, the little research I did after first seeing the movie is it has to do with the scientific explanation of life on Earth. Something with protein molecules had to exist in some form in order for there to be life on Earth, which I find interesting considering the film is is a pretty much a faith-based film, about the perils of war and mental illness, and from there, and I choose to believe that they were all mentally ill, and that ultimately the actions that take place throughout the film and at the end of the film lead to the final conclusion. I'm being a little cryptic there because I know Moodz hasn't seen the end yet. As far as this week, I don't really have much new to add. I do want to mention a film that I've seen a couple times now, but I bought about 6-7 months ago and watched and loved it again, and one that doesn't seem to get much love, a Section 3 film called Schoolgirls in Chains. Very misleading title, probably only on the Section 3 list strictly because of the title and the cover art. Definitely draws influence from Psycho, and I happen to really love this film. It happens to be a really depressing, sort of deep film. You kind of connect with the bad guys in this one. What are your guys' thoughts if you've seen it? Let me know. All right, guys, take care. Bye.
So that was Brandon just dropping a little line telling us how much he agreed and thought that the 50th show played out really well, along as his explanation with the ninth configuration, which I agree with, his assessment of the film. I kind of got that vibe as well.
I completely agree, too. I have watched the end of the film, and, I totally, I have to agree with what Brandon said. I mean, that's really kind of what my feelings are on it too. So, I mean, I don't want to spoil the end or anything too, but yeah. But yeah, thank you once again for, listening to the whole 50th episode, because, we really appreciate it.
4 a.m? Is that what he said? Holy shit.
Yeah, till 4 a.m. I mean, that's soldierism right there, man. That's good stuff right there. As for, it was called Schoolgirls in Chains. That was a band, or that was on the third list, right? Yeah, you're right. Never seen it. I have not seen that one. There's actually quite a few films on that third list that I've never seen before. So yeah, that's one I have not.
So you'll have to check that out eventually, huh?
Yes, I will have to.
All right. Next up, we have a voicemail from Danny, aka DJ Boy
3275.
3275. All right. Yeah. So Danny, I believe Danny's the first time caller, right? But long time friend.
Well, big ups to Danny for phoning. This is awesome.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Daniel J. Rice, aka DJ Boy 3275. I have a question for Moodz, JP, and Jeremy. Before I get to that question, though, I have a suggestion. As far as body bags goes, I honestly feel that you guys should go back to doing a theme week maybe once a month instead of every week, and then giving each reviewer creative freedom throughout the rest of the month. That's just a small suggestion. But now I have a question. My question is, for each of you guys, I want you to name 10 horror films that you love that somebody else recommended to you. That's going to be hard for you guys, but that's my question. Hopefully you guys will put it on 22 Shots of Moodz podcast. If not, that's cool, but wanted to give you guys a call, give you a little bit of my input and thoughts. Peace out, guys. Love you guys, man. Later.
Okay, so that was Danny adding a bit of a suggestion to the Body Bags Reviews page. And I'm going to be honest, I like doing the themes weekly, but I actually dislike a lot of the theme choices sometimes. And it's nothing against anybody who comes up with them. I just feel that sometimes we get into these like crazy themes where it's like, one, it's hard to even title them. I like the idea of sticking to like sub-genre based, or even going out of it a little bit, like Blood Week or something like that. But some of the harder ones, I do find it a bit of kind of an inconvenience to have to, find some crazy film that only one matches in my collection, and then I have to rewatch a film that I really am uninterested in rewatching. So I'm not sure if I want to go back to the solo one a month thing, but it might not be a bad idea to do for a little while, and then maybe bring the weekly thing back again.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good idea. I mean, I like the idea of just having complete control over what you review from week to week. The themes are fun, but we're almost in week 90 or something like that, and we've covered a lot of ground with themes, so the themes are getting a little more obscure and harder to fill, especially for some people.
I find that sometimes that's the problem, is I feel like maybe people are trying to think outside the box too much instead of keeping it simple. Like, that we have never done like simple themes like body horror. You know what I mean? Like there's so many like of simple themes that we've never even touched, because I think everybody's trying to come up with something new or unique, when really maybe we should just kind of simplify it a little bit.
But then, even with that said, though, we have covered, pretty much all the standard kind of themes, slasher and vampire and things like that. Yeah, some of the ones are getting a little more extreme right now too, but I mean, it does keep it interesting. I know it is a little harder for some people. They might not even have some of those films in their collection. It's really tough. So But yeah, I do like the fact, and there's a lot of films that I've been wanting to review, you know, but they just don't fit any of these themes and stuff, and you know, I necessarily don't have the time on my channel. But like, you know, it comes to body bags, and I do miss the times where I just be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna review Ku Klux Klan versus neo-Nazis.
Yeah,
you know? We're not gonna have a
those
theme for that.
too.
You know, it's like, you know, kind of throw it out there and get some random titles. But yeah, you know, it's something that we actually haven't considered. But now that you bring it up and bring it to our attention, yeah, we'll talk to the other people, and I'm sure they'd be down with that too. You know, it's just a lot less thinking too. But I think that was kind of the fun of having a theme every week, was the fact it's like, okay, now, you know, it's very kind of compressed, and
and
you know, you gotta find something. So, you know, there's pros and cons to it, right?
That's not saying that we can't, you know, do the once a month theme week for 6 months or something, then go back to the weekly theme week. I mean, we can. Why does it have to be like either or? We could do a little bit of both. You know, and yeah, we have covered like vampires and slashers, but you also kind of have to remember that if we covered slashers 25 weeks ago or longer, you can have a slashers volume 2, because there's a million fucking slashers to choose from. Like, it doesn't have to be a different theme every week. Like, obviously it has to be a different one, you know, when they're close together, but you can do like 9 Stephen King weeks, as many films as there is in that category, you know, and that's one of the lesser, populated categories when you have stuff like slashers and zombies, where there's literally, you can have one for the rest of your life, 7 zombie films a week for the rest of your life, and not have them all covered.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was kind of funny because I even brought it up in our group talk there. You know, people were throwing out these really extreme, themes and stuff. And then all of a sudden I was like, we're talking like in week, I don't know, I think it's even coming up, or we just, I can't remember, but it was like way, way down the list. Like it's going to be like week 90 something or whatever. And I'm like, what about werewolf week? Like,
yeah, right. Well, if you look at mine are usually pretty simple. I did like killer insects or something, you know, or I did vampires that one week because we'd never done fucking vampires.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, most of the themes that I've come up with have been pretty standard and easy, and I do consider that when I'm coming up with one, you know, but yeah, thanks Danny for, you know, bringing it up, because we'll definitely bring it up to the other guys, and I'm sure they'd be down, you know, just go back to one a month and
bit, you know,
and so we can get a variety of films, and I think that's probably the key right there, you know, is having a variety, because everybody in Body Bags has, you know, different tastes in films. You know, we've got Laura, we've got Matt, we've got, you know, all these people with very, very different types of tastes and stuff. Like, with me, you're going to get a lot of trauma, you know, and shit like that I'm going to review. Cause I like to review things that are kind of a lot outside the box, and kind of, you know, things that people probably wouldn't buy unless, you know, they saw a review or something. But
I always found my style to be very medium. Like, it's just a medium of, I've done stuff from shot on video, weird stuff, all the way up to like mainstream films like, Doom or something, you know what I mean?
I haven't actually done, unless it's come down to like a specific theme or something, but I don't really do a lot of the more known ones. So, you know, I try to keep it to, you know,
which is
low
cool,
budget.
because then you have a fair variety of everybody covering, you know, different things, which is cool.
Which it works out. So, but yeah.
So then he asks us 10 films that someone has recommended to you that you love, which is always fun. I think that's one of the main reasons we've all probably got involved with, you know, first YouTube. I mean, that we all stem from a YouTube background in this podcast, which is interesting, because I've had conversations with so many people that have podcasts, and I think none of them have a background stemming from starting in YouTube, and I find that incredibly interesting and kind of unique that we've came from that part of the horror community. So you got some that you'd like to throw out?
Yeah, I guess I can go first. The first one that comes to my mind, and I'm just doing this like right off the top of my head, so keep count, JP. I'll try to come up with 10.
All right.
The first one I thought of was No One Lives. Honestly, I can't remember who recommended some of these films to me, but No One Lives was a film that I remember seeing the cover for, and I was like, I don't know about that. I just kind of wrote it off. And then someone said to me, they're like, man, the cover is very misleading to the film. and you really need to check it out. You might be pleasantly surprised at, what happens in this film. And I ended up checking it out and fucking loved it. It just blew my mind. I was like, what? Like, this cover the cover makes it kind of look like an action film. It's kind of an interesting one. Have you seen this one, JP?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's fucking fantastic. Another one, actually, I'll mention one that Danny, actually recommended to me, and that's The Boneyard. Boneyard is such a weird and goofy film, but Danny recommended me this one. He's like, because I was never sure about it and I never really knew what the hell it was. And he's like, no, it's actually really fun. It's a really kind of strange film. And so he recommended me that and picked it up. And he actually even showed me where I could get it for a decent price, because I remember it was out of print at one time. I don't know. But yeah, big ups to Danny for recommending The Boneyard. It's a really odd and strange film. Actually, another one that either Danny or I think Danny recommended to me, or maybe it was Scotty. I'm not sure. It was probably Danny though. And that's The Seasoning House. Those guys are always on the ball with these type of films. And, The Seasoning House was a really interesting watch. Glad that they recommended that one, because I loved it. Another one recently that was recommended to me, inadvertently, I guess, kind of, but it was Jesse recommended me, Darkness. It's like a really low budget type, like vampire kind of zombie-ish. It's a really fucking gory ass film, man. Really low budget, took like a few years to shoot and stuff. I think I talked about it on a cast previous. I believe I did, or maybe I was going to. I'm not sure. But Darkness, the movie's fucking awesome. Definitely give it a shot. It was released by Barrel Entertainment. Let me think here. Most recently, actually, Brandon recommended that we watch Sleep Tight.
Yeah, that's one of my picks.
And I never really knew much about it. He recommended it to us, and it ended up making the Hall of Fame. That movie was really, really brilliant on all levels. Mm-hmm. So you can guys, we did a full length review as a main review on 2 shows ago, I believe.
Yeah, it was episode 49.
Episode 49. So you can check that out. But Sleep Tight, fantastic film. I got one. Jeremy recommended me a film called President's Day. Now, I remember when this one came out, I was not sure. It kind of looked like your run-of-the-mill type slasher film. It's actually got a appearance from Cool Duder, Chauncey Phillips in it. And actually, his death in the film is absolutely a fucking blast. It's so funny. But President's Day is, a slasher film set in a high school, and it's to do with the high school president and stuff like that. Really awesome film. It was surprisingly good, for what it was. The acting was pretty good, and the gore was fantastic in the film, which, I was surprised. But, if Jeremy's going to be recommending a low-budget slasher film, it's probably pretty good, because he seems to hate, 95% of everything. So that was surprising to me. Another one I remember back in the day when I first started on YouTube, I remember watching OD666, and he recommended a film called Blood Junkie to me. He actually left a comment on one of my videos. He's like, you got to check out Blood Junkie. And oddly enough, Dubby actually reviewed it this week on Body Bags. Now when I think about it, but the original recommendation for me was from OD666, Blood Junkie. And he's like, yeah, it's released by Troma. It's low budget slasher film, blah, blah, blah. And I ended up fucking loving it. I've recommended this movie to everybody possible. I just try to get it out there. But yeah, fantastic film. What's another one recently that was recommended to me? Actually, no, I know one that was recommended to me from Tattoo Dorman. He was an original host on Body Bags, actually, and that was Adam Chaplin. I'd never heard of the film. Adam Chaplin was recommended to me by him. He's like, you got to see this shit, man. It's it's almost like, in a way, it's almost cartoony, but it's not. It's really over the top, gory blood. It's kind of done like comic book style a little bit. And I was like, okay. So I checked it out and just fell in love with it. That's another really great film that was recommended to me. Have to throw this one out. I remember, Dave, Mr. Parker recommended me a film called The Devil's Business, released by Mondo Macabro. It was a film that came out a couple years back. It got released here recently, and I just fell in love with it. I believe I reviewed it on the podcast, but that was recommended to me by Dave. And how many is that? Are we keeping track?
I think that's about 10. I wasn't keeping track. I kept track to 5, and then I forgot.
I think that's actually 9. I'm not sure though. But anyways, I got one more. A film that was recommended to me a few years back by somebody, and then when I was doing my 1981 series, my 52 horrific weeks 1981 series, it was getting late in the year, and I think it was in like the week 40s or something like that. And like, hey, do you have Mystic Sabali coming up? And I was like, no, I don't have that movie actually, so it's not going to be reviewed. So it was recommended to me, and then I know Terror for Tom actually recommended to me. I remember in a comment or something like that, but I checked it out, reviewed that actually on the podcast. Confused the hell out of Jeremy also too. But Mystics and Bali, fantastically odd, weird film, but it was recommended by a couple people to me, so I think that's 10. I think it is.
All right. One that comes to my mind right away when I think of like recent recommendations, that was you and Jeremy with Alice Kills, because I absolutely love that film, and you guys, praised the hell out of it, and I'm like, I guess I got to see this one, and I did see it, and I loved it, and you guys were definitely right on that one. Mm-hmm. That was probably the film that Jens like recommended to me. That was like in the early days of the podcast where Jens just kept mentioning it and like, you gotta see it. And I finally picked it up for $5 at Walmart. I was like, holy shit. Super cheap, Another film, I can't remember who recommended it to me, but this was early YouTube and, early for me anyway. And I was talking about how I loved like Chud and like that, slimy, grimy New York setting, and somebody recommended me Basket Case, which I actually wasn't even familiar with those films at all, and I love Basket Case. Basket Case is one of my favorites from that style.
Dude, oddly enough, look at the shirt. I mean, you guys can't see me while listening, but I'm actually literally wearing a Basket Case shirt right now.
He definitely is.
That's strange.
Another one was Bedeviled. I forget who recommended it to me, but they actually sent me a copy of it. And wow, I was blown the fuck away with that movie.
Film.
That movie was amazing. And when someone tells you like, yo, this movie's really good, so you already have high expectations, and then those expectations are blown out of the water, that's when you have like an amazing movie. And Bedeviled was definitely that one.
Recently did a top 10 Tuesday on top Asian films, and that one was in my top 10.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I love that film.
I think that's a South Korean one, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
One that somebody recommended to me, I think it was like, you remember that guy like Ate the Chosen One? He was like popular on YouTube. I think he still does stuff, but
no, he's still doing videos.
Yeah. He like way back when I like first started, it was before I even started. You know how you like just one video leads you to the next when you're like trying to find people to watch before you start YouTube? It was like a weird time. I found one of his videos, and I admit he was talking about like trauma, and I was like, I don't really like trauma, like in the comments or something. And he recommended me Poultrygeist, and I actually love that movie. So that's one of those weird trauma films that like I extremely enjoy. And it kind of gives me hope to check out more trauma films because, my well that I'm pulling my trauma knowledge from isn't that deep. So, I really enjoyed Poultrygeist though.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Another one that I used to love, but after we talked about it recently, I just found it kind of average. But there was a time where I loved this movie. This was back when I was kind of just on the didn't do anything on YouTube, but I surfed like a lot of horror websites. One that I used to go to all the time was Horrorbed, and that one is like shut down now. It's changed into something else. It used to be a really cool place. And there was this guy, his name was like Obscure Cinema. He was like one of the people who like posted articles and stuff, and he recommended me Blood Diner. And at the time I was like, holy shit, this movie's so weird. Like I never seen anything like it. And I loved it back then. Now it's kind of average for me, but back then, dude, that movie was awesome.
Yeah, we definitely talked about that one on here. So
yeah, I'm trying, Cold Prey. Jeremy recommended me Cold Prey. And that one was fucking super good. Like I was really surprised with how good that one was. Like it was like a modern day like slasher that was like really like cool done, like atmospheric wise, like in the snow, stuff like that. That was a really, really fun one for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the sequel's awesome, man. They need to release part 3.
That bums me out because I still have not seen that sequel.
I actually prefer, as much as I like Cold Prey, I actually prefer the sequel.
Yeah?
Yeah, the sequel's awesome, dude. It's really, really good. Someone in Region 1 needs to pick up the rights to the Part 3 and release that shit, because it does have a European release or whatever, but it's only, there's no subtitles.
Yeah. Who put out the second one?
The second one was put out by Shout Factory.
Did Shout Factory put out the first one as well, or no?
No, I don't think so. I think they put out Part 2, or am I backwards? I can't remember. I'm pretty sure that Cold Prey 2 was put out by Shout Factory. Yeah, it was. It was.
Yeah. Another one somebody recommended to me, who I actually don't remember, but it was on one of my videos. They commented, and it was I think it was a Fright Tube review. I think we did a werewolf theme way back on the Fright Tube or something, and I reviewed like The Feeding or some weird bad werewolf movie, and somebody was like, hey, you should check out Big Bad Wolf. And I eventually did. That movie is fun, dude. That movie is awesome.
It's so much fun. Yeah, that's a good one.
Another one is The Lost. Somebody recommended I check out that one, and it was super cheap on Blu-ray. And I really, really enjoyed that one as well. I think that was a pick of the week for me at one point.
Jack Ketchum.
Yeah. That one's a weird movie, but I just love the style, the setting. It's just an interesting story, and it just ends in like a complete like bloodbath.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess another one was Pieces of Talent, which you recommended to me, like kind of. You did, and I forgot about it, and then I watched it, so I'll just credit you as the recommendee.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many? I think that has to be close to 10, right?
Yeah, that's good enough.
All right. Yeah, but there's literally so many that I could pull from, but those were just the ones I was thinking of off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, thank you for calling in, Danny. We'll definitely take your suggestion into consideration. But right now we're going to move on to another voicemail by the homie Derek.
Hey guys, Derek here. I got a good question for you guys this week. If you would ever want to see two mongoloids from two different films fight, who would you want to see? This is interesting. I personally would like to see Junior from The Unseen fighting Pluto from The Hills Have Eyes. I think so. I don't know who would win, but that'd be interesting. So, I'd like to hear some answers, guys. Be wicked awesome. Peace out.
So that is Derek. Obvious answer for me is Victor Crowley taking on Jason Voorhees. They're one and the same.
That's a really interesting question.
Or you can go Hills Have Eyes clan versus the Wrong Turn clan.
Yeah, I mean that would be interesting too. Man, you got me. Mongoloids, eh?
I don't really know what that is. I just assume it's some kind of...
Well, I think it's just like hideously deformed people, like...
Yeah. I'm sure you could work like the basket case brother, Belial, into one of these versus matches.
That's so funny that you said that. I was thinking that, but I don't know if that is fully considered a mongoloid. I don't know, man. I really don't know. The Victor Crowley one you kind of stole from me right there.
Oh yeah, sure. No, it's literally the most obvious one, right? I mean, Jason is referred to as a mongoloid from Tom Savini, who created him. And then you have Victor Crowley, who is essentially a copy of Jason Voorhees.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
So you just agree that idea is probably the best, right?
But that's a good one. That's definitely a good one. I don't know, man. I would probably have to say, you know what? Actually, I think would be really funny. This would be a funny ass battle. I think you did mention. Did you mention the Wrong Turn clan?
Yeah.
Okay, so you take those three mongoloids. I think that's what you can kind of consider them because they kind of look like that, right? They're very deformed and stuff. I want to see. This is so stupid, but I want to see Sloth
Oh my
from
God.
the Goonies take on that whole clan right there. Because I mean, I had to go outside the box on that, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, Sloth could be considered to be a mongoloid.
Sloth
He's
is
like
all sorts of messed up, dude.
He's all messed up, but I want to see him because he's big, he's monstrous,
wearing a Superman shirt and shit.
Exactly, take on the Wrong Turn crew.
Yeah, just straight rage mode.
Thanks, Derek. That question was fun.
All right.
Awesome.
Next up, we have a voicemail from, I believe, a first-time caller. This is Josh from Detroit.
Hey, guys. It's Josh from Detroit. And I just thought I would call in with a kind of a fun question, maybe. Your favorite decapitation scene in a slasher or a giallo? I was just watching the other night Sleepless by Argento. And it was just an awesome scene with where a ballerina gets taken out. You don't see anything on screen, but just the way the prosthetic falls, and you still see the eyes moving and the mouth moving and stuff. It's kind of creepy. And then probably the scene from Hide and Go Shriek in the elevator, where the elevator takes the girl's head off. It was kind of a crazy scene. It's probably one of the only good scenes in the movie, to be honest. But I just thought I'd ask a question. Keep up the good work, guys. Take it easy.
All right, thanks, Josh from Detroit. We appreciate any first-time callers. I get really excited when I hear new people call in. I don't know about you.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's actually the second person from Detroit to call in. Danny's from Detroit, too. Yeah. So big ups to the Motor City.
Yeah.
Favorite decapitation? That's a good question, man. I never really thought of that before.
I'll say mine, which should surprise nobody. I mean, it's the classic one that is from Friday the 13th, Part 1. Mrs. Pamela Voorhees getting beheaded by the machete. Man, I just the way that it's done in slow mo. She picks it up and the music, and it's like, and it's just like, and it's slowly roll. I could watch that scene over and over again. I remember being a kid and just thinking it was so epic. So that has a special place in my heart.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. Decapitations, could it include, gunshots that explode heads?
I know that your favorite is from Friday the 13th, Part 8, when Jason punches dude's head off. And
I know, man.
Garbage can.
How many times have I mentioned that? that has got to be.
I think
that
it's
is
so
literally
ridiculous, dude.
That part is literally one of the funniest decapitations of all time.
I just picture the director being super serious, like, okay, so he's beating Jason up, and he's giving him a left, and he's giving him a right, and Jason's just taking it, and he's backing up, and then Jason just punches him one time, boom, his head goes flying into the dumpster, and like everybody around him's like, yeah, that's cool, man. I could just picture him thinking it was like this epic ass thing, and it's just so cheesy.
Yeah.
I love that scene. It's ridiculous.
Best decapitation scene. I like the decapitation scene from Video Violence, where they basically just cut the head right off and it like falls on the ground. It's just vicious, man. Like, it's a shot on video film, but it's I don't know, man. The effects are kind of good for what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I even used that decapitation scene in an intro that I have on YouTube. I like it that much.
What about, wasn't the Day of the Dead, didn't dude get his head ripped off?
Yep. Yeah, there's a good one in Day
of the
Dead.
There's a lot of good ones that obviously aren't coming to our mind right now because we're doing this on the fly, but
yeah,
I mean, dude, there are amazing decapitations.
One I really enjoy is the one from Reanimator.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, so that one's really cool too. When I think of like heads coming off, I always think of the shotgun blast from Maniac. It's not really a decapitation; it's more of an explosion. But it literally is just the head. Like it's gone.
That's definitely the best head explosion.
Best head explosion, exactly.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I said, I think the most comical decapitation of all time is probably Friday the 13th, Part 8. Where Buddy punches his head
ridiculous.
Off. It's so fucking stupid.
Oh my god, man. Oh my god, what are you thinking? All right, let's move on to the next voicemail. I think this is now, was it Ron from Wisconsin or Rob from Wisconsin?
Ron or I'm not sure.
All right, well, we
I
have
think
Rob
said
on
Ron.
the line here.
Okay.
Ready in the voicemail queue. So if he says, "Hi guys, this is Rob from Wisconsin," then we know it's Rob. But if he doesn't, then we know that it's Ron. So
Okay.
let's see what happens here.
Hey guys, Rob from Georgia calling in with
Oh,
another
Georgia.
question of the week. First, I wanted to say, what an outstanding episode 50. Not surprised to see Night of the Living Dead get the number 1 pick. A worthy choice indeed. If you ever get the chance, the cemetery up in Evans City, PA, a very cool place to visit. Anyhow, stumbled on Matt's Body Bags review of The Legacy. Man, I remember seeing that at the drive-in with John Carpenter's The Fog. What an awesome experience as a kid. I think I was like 10 at the time. Anyhow, Matt couldn't remember who had directed that flick, and I thought to myself, dang, who did do that? Of course, a quick trip over to IMDb revealed it to be none other than Richard Marquand. A couple years later, he would go on to direct Return of the Jedi for George Lucas,
Holy shit.
since Spielberg was unable to. My question is this. What director most surprised you with a sudden change in genre, say from horror to another, as with James Wan's move from The Conjuring to Furious 7? Is there a director who really blew your mind away by having done a pretty good horror piece, then did something totally off the wall? Anyhow, great job, guys. Can't wait to hear. Peace.
I love how enthusiastic this guy is in his voicemails.
Yeah.
He left a good one on the 50th show. Keep calling back next season, brother, because I love your voicemails. They're a lot of fun. First, what did he? Oh, he mentioned visiting the cemetery in PA. I mean, I should probably do that, considering I'm like right here in Pittsburgh, pretty much. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe someday. When he mentioned the what director surprised you to go from a horror film to a non-horror film, it sucks because he kind of stole my answer, because the first thought I was like James Wan. I mean, he went from all these horror films straight into like a big ass blockbuster franchise.
Yeah, that's kind of that's kind of the obvious answer right now, because it's just so stunning. Right? Complete opposite. I was thinking the same thing right off the bat too, but I actually have one. I thought of one right away too, though.
Is it the same one that I thought of?
No. Actually, the first one, I mean, this one, it's not his first film. He's done different genres and stuff, but just to what he was doing after. I mean, the films that this guy did before were, very kind of interestingly cool films. But anyways, I'll just throw it out here. Robert Rodriguez.
Oh, yeah. Robert
okay,
Rodriguez.
so, his directed films are quite interesting, but of course, in 1996, he directed From Dusk Till Dawn. And before that, he'd done El Mariachi and, Road Racers and Desperado and stuff. But, and then he went on to do The Faculty and stuff like that. But then a couple years later, he ended up directing Spy Kids. And he ended up directing Spy Kids 2 and Part 3.
Yeah,
that is fucking strange, man.
I
That
think
is a
he's
really
been on record to say that he made those movies for his kids.
Yeah, but like it's just so
It is weird. It is weird. Have
different.
you seen those movies?
I have never seen them. I've never seen those movies.
Well, this is interesting for me because the year that those came out, I was still a kid somewhat. So I did watch, the first 2 or 3 Spy Kids movies. They were pretty cool, dude. And he managed to like lump Danny Trejo in there and shit. And he was like the cool Uncle Machete. His name was Machete. It was the dope, dude. Pretty cool.
Actually, another one that came to my mind right away is, of course, David Cronenberg. David Cronenberg's known for doing so many interestingly odd body horror type films and really strange films from the late 70s and early 80s. And then, come into the late 90s and 2000s and stuff, he just completely switched genres. Right? Yeah. He's doing like, I think he did, what's the one I'm thinking of? History of Violence was directed by him, which is like a total switch. I was like, what the fuck is going on with David Cronenberg? But now his films are getting even like way off, like he did Cosmo, whatever the fuck it was, film a couple years ago, which I didn't really care for. But yeah, he's had a switch in genres quite drastically. It's kind of a shame he doesn't do horror films anymore, because that's obviously where his calling is, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Before you steal like all of them, I'll just throw mine out there that I thought of besides James Wan, and that is Sam Raimi.
Oh yeah.
The Spider-Man films, like, what
I know.
the fuck is that's kind of weird. Like, the guy who's running through the woods with 2x4s is now doing creative ass shit in like the Spider-Man films. I remember because that film came out 2003, I believe. The first Spider-Man came out, or it was really early, 2001, 2002, somewhere around there. And I remember when somebody told me like that guy made Evil Dead. I'm like, really? I didn't know at the time, you know. And I was like, I still find it kind of surprising that he made. Like, and then he did the Wizard of Oz shit. He went back to horror for a brief moment and Drag Me to Hell, but like, Sam Raimi, come back. We need you. Same thing goes with Peter Jackson, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Peter Jackson's a great choice. I mean, you go from doing Bad Taste and Dead Alive and, you know, even The Frighteners, and then he did one in the late 90s. I think it was kind of like a love story, and then Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
It's like, what the
hell? Yeah. Like,
there's really so many of them, man. I can think of Jack Hill too. Jack Hill's another one. You know, he did Spider Baby, which is really interesting. Then he just kind of switched over to like blaxploitation films, you know, and did a lot of those type of films in the 70s. You know, Coffee and of course Foxy Brown, and among films he's done lots of really good ones. But he had quite the switch in you know genres right there too. So
yeah, so there is a lot of them, and it's always. I'm always very happy. Like, I'm happy for James Wan. Like, he made it big. Like, he's gonna be rich as shit now. But I still want him to come back, you know? Don't forget about where you started, you know? And I feel that way with Sam Raimi and all those guys. Like, I love their horror films so much. I want them to return. You know, they can do as many blockbuster action movies as they want, but, like, just give us a little bit more horror every once in a while, too, you know?
Yeah. Good point.
All right. So next up, we have one more voicemail. This one's coming from the homie Tyler, one of the winners of the contest, I believe. So here is Tyler.
Hey guys, Tyler again. Not hammered this time. Probably the only time that'll ever happen. Want to make sure I got a call in for your next episode, 51. So lately, I've been on a kick with a lot of art house films. I'm realizing I like those a lot more than I thought I did. So, asking you guys for each of you to give me a recommendation, one apiece, of a recent art house horror film that you guys think is spectacular. Say in the last 3 years, keep it like that. And that's about it. Look, episode 50, good choice of number 1. No argument there. Have a good one.
Nice. That's Tyler. Thanks for calling in. I always enjoy Tyler's voicemails as well. He said, you know, I'm calling in not hammered this time. This will probably be the last time that happens. That's funny. I like that. So he wants to know an art house film over the last couple of years. This would kind of probably be Jeremy's territory more than mine. But I think I'll go with Antiviral. I definitely think that one was really art housey, and it's definitely a good movie. I didn't love it as much as Moodz and Jeremy, but they both thought it was spectacular. So I do recommend that one.
The first one that comes to my mind right away is Under the Skin. That's very art housey, kind of strange, with Scarlett Johansson, of course. The coolest thing about that film is that you get to see her buck naked in there. So, you know, it's always a plus, but I recommend that one. It's, you know, obviously from last year or whatever. It was, such a great film. So I recommend that one. That was what part of the question was. You wanted newer art house
yeah, in the
films?
last 3 years.
Okay. So Under the Skin. Oh, what are some newer art house films that I've seen? I don't know. It's
really weird for me because you never know if something's going to be like an art house film until you watch it and you're like, oh, this is like an art house film. So I always have trouble like thinking of the ones off the top of my head. I think Antiviral was like really the only one that jumped to my mind. I haven't seen Under the Skin, but I have heard people say that about it.
Yeah, I got it. Under the Skin, definitely. I don't know. I get the term art house too is kind of, it's an interesting one because people consider different films to be art housey and then
I would say maybe Stoker is a little art housey.
Yeah, that's a good choice. That's a good choice.
Stoker is fantastic. I loved Stoker way more than Antiviral. It's really good. It really is. It's not a huge horror film, but that film there's so much symbolism and, you know, metaphors and just not in your face stuff, but it's all there for you to find. It's all laid out in front of you, but it's just hidden. And I love the cinematography in that film, amazing. I actually picked up Stoker on Blu-ray for like $5 at a fucking Big Lots, and I still haven't even popped it open. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've seen it before when it was in the red box. I rented it, but I need to watch it on Blu-ray.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this one isn't from the last couple of years, but we did mention earlier in the show, and that's Deathbed, very kind of artsy.
Oh, that's early art house film. Like that is like, it's very poetic. It's weird. It definitely fits in the art house category. I definitely, and you know, you might as well say that it is newer because there's probably no way of seeing it before that Called Epics release.
That's actually a really good point. That's a really good point. So, but yeah, I don't know. There's been quite a few, but I just, you know, we're doing this off the top of our heads.
Weekend of watching with the couple that we've mentioned.
Exactly.
So enjoy.
If you haven't seen Under the Skin, definitely check it out. I really enjoyed it. So,
as well as Stoker.
Yeah, Stoker's awesome.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so moving along here, we're going to get right into our segments, and that is going to be picks of the week this week. For myself, I don't have an Italian Stallion this week, so I'm going to change it up a little bit and just go with a pick of the week. So this one right here I want to talk about is from 2014. It's an Australian flick called Chocolate Strawberry Vanilla, directed by Stuart Simpson. This one right here is classified as it's like a dark comedy / drama / psychological thriller / horror film. It's basically like your ideal type cult film. It basically follows your main character, Warren Thompson, played by Glenn Maynard. He is a owner of a ice cream truck. He's a very, very lonely guy. He's very odd. He's very kind of, you know, he's very awkward to be around. He almost comes off like he's he's almost kind of slow in a way, but he's not. He's just that awkward, you know, that you get the impression. But the cool thing about the film is that you feel sorry for him right away in the film. He just, you know, that he's lonely and he just wants to find love in his life. And, you know, he goes out every single day in his ice cream truck and just sets up on the same spot every single day and sells ice cream to people. But the thing with Warren is that he's obsessed with this TV show and this one certain character on this really crappy TV show. I love the clips that they show. You know, they totally made it look like the worst, like, you know, cop drama show on around it stuff. It's really funny, but he becomes obsessed with this, the main actress on this show. And of course, one day she, you know, kind of, you know, comes up to his ice cream because they're actually filming in this location where, you know, where he sets up every day. And she apparently, you know, she comes up to the ice cream truck and he just becomes even more obsessed with her. And basically the movie is, you know, him, you know, being obsessed with her and, you know, just, it's more of a character study on him. And, you know, it's a little bit psychological and stuff, but yeah, my thoughts on this one. Very, very intriguing film. It kind of gets right to the point. It only runs something like 80 minutes or something like that. So it's right to the point, but it's this character study of this guy. And it's like very dramatic and it's got these comedic moments in it. But, you know, like I said, you feel sorry for the character the entire time, but it's so intriguing because you don't know really where it's going to take you. And I really enjoy this about the film. You know, the progression in the film and where it ends up going it's really quite satisfying. It's just an amazing character study and really lots of cool things going on with these really interesting characters that come and go throughout the ice cream truck and stuff. And, you know, it's just, it's a very simple premise, but executed so perfectly. Really interesting soundtrack to it. But the thing that sells this film the most is Glenn Maynard's portrayal of Warren Thompson, this really lonely character who's kind of, you know, almost delusional and he just does really odd things. And, you know, there's a lot of scenes in this film where he's like masturbating to the TV and shit like that. It's just, it really adds to it though. It's kind of awkward when you watch it. You're like, what the fuck? But it's so fitting because he's so fucking lonely. You feel sorry for him. And, without giving anything away, man, it's one of those films you just have to check out for yourself. You can't really say a whole lot about it because you don't want to ruin anything, but wow, what a fantastic movie. I was just blown away by this, man. This was actually Dave's favorite film of last year. And it's not necessarily like a full-blown horror film. Like I said, it's a bona fide like cult film. I can see this one becoming a little more popular throughout time. Once it gets a release over here. This is the copy I have is like a Region 2 release. It's like I said, it's an Australian film. So hopefully it gets a release over here so more people get a chance to see it. But I can't highly recommend Chocolate Strawberry Vanilla enough. It's just a fantastic piece and just one of those cinematic journeys that you go through and you feel so satisfied. And that's the coolest thing about it. I was like, awesome. So, I mean, can't really say a whole lot more about it, but I highly recommend it. If I had to rate this one, 9.5 out of 10. Loved it so much. Just a great, great film. Everybody need to check it out. So hopefully it'll get a release over here, like I said, but you can get it on Amazon UK for super cheap. Like I only paid £4 or £5 for it. So it's cheap.
Yeah, that one sounds pretty interesting. I did see a little bit of buzz about that one. And I remember because the title is so like memorable. It's one that stands out, like obviously ice cream flavors. And I was just like, that's a cool title. Like that's interesting. That got my attention.
I like one of the quotes that's on the cover here. It says sad, horrific, and bitterly humorous. That really does sum it up. It is, like I said, you feel super sad for this character. You feel for him. It's got horrific moments. It's got like it's got pretty much all type of genres going on in this. And like I said, it's classified as a comedy, but it's not. It's not a comedy. It's like a black comedy just with very kind of hints of moments where you go, you're like, but you're so engulfed in the character, you're like, fuck, I shouldn't really be laughing at it, because you feel fucking bad for him. So check it out. Chocolate Strawberry Vanilla. Awesome stuff.
Cool. My segment this week is going to be another closer look at. This is where I take a Blu-ray release. Typically, it's been a Scream Factory release and kind of review the film and the special features, kind of everything that is involved in the release. The film that I chose this time is one that it is Tobe Hooper's Lifeforce from 1985. It follows a group of astronauts who are kind of observing Halley's Comet, and they get a little closer and they see that like inside it is this like chamber filled with these like bat-like creatures, and there's these pods and there's these naked people in these pods. They take them back. They lose contact with that shuttle. They send another shuttle out. They see that everybody's kind of dead and the shuttle's like burned up. So then they bring the space fucking bodies back to Earth. There they kind of awaken, and they're sort of like these space vampires. And they kind of escape. One is a very, very attractive woman who walks around naked like the entire film, completely naked, has very nice boobs, if you will.
Yes.
Which is one of the better things in the film. And, I don't need nudity in films. I'm perfectly fine without it, but it says something when like that's kind of what you remember about the film, is the nudity. 'Cause this film is goddamn boring. And I believe Moodz has said that in the past, and that is really what's like wrong with the film, is it is boring as hell. But back to the story, she escapes, she drains the life force out of people. That's the title of the film. It's kind of like a vampire, but instead of blood, it's just the force of life within you. Then it's like an all-out assault on, I think they're in like Paris or something. And they kind of transform them into like zombies. They're very zombie-like creatures, but I guess they're vampires. I'm not really sure. They're like half and half.
I think they're supposed to be, yeah.
Yeah, and they must save all of mankind from the evil vampires from space. Like I said, this film's absolutely boring. And it should be an amazing movie considering the like scope of things. It's like an epic, dude. There's so many grand, amazing effects and locations, and it feels so goddamn big, and you don't care about it at all. Like, you don't care about the characters. There's not one person that you're interested in. They're all dull and boring. The effects are the saving grace of this long-ass 2-hour movie, the effects and the naked girl, because without it, you got nothing. You got nothing but a 2-hour long movie. And I said it before, and I'll say it again, the first 90 minutes are free. You get those for free. Any additional minute after that, you have to make me invested. Those cost something. Those you don't get anything else besides 90. That's free. You have to if your film's over 90 minutes, it better be good. Because there's no excuse. There's no excuse. And this one is way fucking too long. And this is the Scream Factory edition, which is the director's cut. It's, like I said, about 2 hours long, 2 hours and some change. I don't really have much to say about it. Great effects. Like, there's some good effects in this film. Both visual, like in-camera stuff, and actual, like, practical effects. There's some cool, like, body sucked up looking shit going on. There's some cool, like, there's a scene where some people grab onto the helicopter and, like, their like flesh rips off of their hands. Like, there's some gory good stuff in here, but the movie is goddamn boring as hell. And, that brings me to the Blu-ray. I actually watched this film 4 times. 4 times for this review. The first time was just watching the movie by itself. That was a little painful. Then I watched it with the commentary with director Tobe Hooper. Pretty solid, actually. It was moderated by Tim Sullivan, and it kind of made the movie a little bit more enjoyable because Hooper kind of talked about, the thought process of everything. And Hooper is hit and miss with commentary. Sometimes he's entertaining, sometimes he's not. This one, I would say, it was kind of in the middle ground. It was a decent commentary, but really, I mean, because you don't care about the film that much, you really don't care about the commentary that much either. The second commentary I thought was really a bit more interesting, and this one is the second feature-length commentary, so this was the third time I watched it. That commentary is with makeup effects designer Nick Malay, and this guy is being moderated by Michael Felcher, who I believe is like one of the main guys at Scream Factory. I'm not sure. This one was a lot interesting because it talked about his career. He, is best known for his work in the Star Wars films where he created Yoda. That's kind of crazy. So he kind of talks about his career, reflects on things, reflects on this film, and he really does feel like the effects that he pulled off in Lifeforce are his best work besides, Yoda, and that's simply because of, like, how big of a thing that was. But I thought that was interesting because, yeah, these effects are amazing. There's some great stuff in here. It's just too bad that the movie, like, does not work well. So that was a decent commentary. And then the fourth time I watched it, they actually have the Lifeforce theatrical release on the disc too, which runs, I believe, 20 or 30 minutes shorter. And I'll be honest, I enjoyed it the most that I ever would enjoy it in the theatrical version. Maybe it was because it was shorter and it flowed a little bit better. I'm not exactly sure what was missing because after 4 watches, everything just kind of ran together. But I would say if you're going to watch Lifeforce, watch the theatrical version. It's a little bit better. It's still not a very good movie. And it has many positives, but it's the overall story and boringness of the film that hurts it the most. Then you actually have an interview with Mathilda May, who played the naked girl. And that was an interesting interview. It runs about 15 minutes because she talks about like how she kind of regretted doing it a little bit. And, she was naked the entire film pretty much. She kind of attributes it to like her looking young and feeling, good about herself. But at the same time, there would be very difficult moments to do that. Because like I said, it's a long period of time that she's doing that in the film. And she would be in it, and then she'd be out of it, and then she would feel terrible, and then she would feel okay. So that was an interesting interview. Of course, then you have an interview with Tobe Hooper. He kind of talks about the various elements of the film, including the novel which it was based on. That was an interesting interview. Only runs 10 minutes, much more interesting than most of the film. And then, of course, you have a interview with Stephen Railsback. who was a star in the movie. That runs about 7 minutes. That one's a decent interview too. Then you have a 21-minute featurette. This is kind of a time capsule of footage from the film at the time that it was being filmed, like behind the scenes stuff like that. That was actually pretty decent as well. You get to see a lot of the effects and things like that. That one was about 21 minutes. Then you just have the typical theatrical trailer, TV spot, still gallery. Overall, my rating for Lifeforce, I'm going to give it a 6. And even though I feel like it's an extremely boring movie and it's not very good to me, I can't deny the epicness of it. And I know that there's people that maybe like these sci-fi space epics a little bit more. And I can't deny the quality of work that was done in everything besides the fucking storytelling and the pacing, because that is all there. I mean, it's all there, but there's just major problems with the storyline and the character development, stuff like that. But I have to give those effects credit and just the scope of everything. It was very good in terms of that stuff. So that is my closer look at Lifeforce. Man, dude, good features. Solid features, that inclusion of the theatrical version was very nice. Maybe if I'd watched that one first, I would have maybe enjoyed it a little bit more. And it's a good release in terms of features, but one of the weaker films in that initial first 20-25 releases from Scream Factory.
Yeah, what was the rating on that again?
I gave it a 6 out of 10.
Okay. Cool. Alrighty, so we're going to move along into the third and final drawing from the contest. JP, who are our winners?
All right, these are the final 3 winners here, guys, and I have the Country Crock butter container here, once again, opening it up, and I'm going to pull the last 3 names. These ones will win prizes for me, so be sure to send me your address. The first winner of the 3 is Rob from Georgia. I believe
Rob from Georgia.
I think it was Rob from Georgia. So Rob from Georgia, man, send me your address.
Cool.
The next winner is Andre, Little Rocket Cutie, 2005.
Oh, there you go.
And the third and final winner is Jesus.
Jesus, the artist?
I believe so. Cool. Escobar or something like that.
Yeah, I think he's the one that drew the 22 shots picture.
Well, awesome, dude. Awesome.
I love that. Well, congrats
that
to all
awesome.
The winners out there. So, yeah, that concludes the drawings for the contest. Awesome. Once again, congrats to all the winners out there, and your packages will be on their way soon enough.
Hey guys, JP here, just checking in once again before we get into our top 10 horror films of 1968. I just thought I'd give you guys a heads up that Jeremy will be participating via audio clips that he has sent me. Unfortunately, he will not be participating in the entire top 10 list because he was unable to watch enough films to create a top 10 list from 1968, so he will only be participating in the final 5, so his list will be a top 5. Unfortunately, he just did not watch enough films to participate in the full episode, so he will just be in the top 5, but I'll check in with you guys a little bit later.
Alrighty, so moving along into the moment we've all been waiting for. The main feature, I guess I can't say review because, whatever. It doesn't really matter. The top 10 films of 1968.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did explain why we chose 1968, so without further ado, it kind of speaks for itself. JP, you want to start?
I will start, and before I start, I just want to mention that we're going to try to not be so long-winded on these. A couple of these films I had watched a while back in preparation, so they're a little fuzzy in my memory. Coming in at number 10 for me, the first film on the list is The Devil Rides Out from 1968. This is a film I did watch twice because I felt like the first time I didn't give it the most fair shake because I totally seen some interesting things in there, and it felt like a film that I should love. Overall, I still don't love it, but I feel like I'm the only person on the internet who doesn't, because this film got a lot of great reviews. I'm not sure if you've seen this one, Moodz, but it kind of follows these friends who find out that their other friend is involved in satanic rituals. They go in to try to rescue him, and then the, fucking religious black magic users, like, conjure up, like, some devil shit, and it's forces of good and evil, basically. It is an original, awesome film for 1968, starring Christopher Lee, of course. I feel like the main problem for me is that it's kind of convoluted, and I feel like I didn't really fully grasp, like, it seemed like it could have been just slightly a little bit more simple. And I feel like it's a little too ambitious, and I do really enjoy, like, the cult stuff, because it's, for the time, 1968, I really haven't seen, like devil worshipping on screen, as much as it was. Like, it is straight up devil worshipping, devil, like, conjuring up fucking a goat and shit. It's pretty crazy. It's actually surprised me at what they was able to show. But I just feel like there was just a little bit wrong with it. I feel like I do need to give it another shot. I rented this one twice. I don't know if it's available on DVD, but I would be curious to pick it up. It's definitely a good movie. It's just a little convoluted, and I give it a 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I think it is available on DVD. I actually have never seen this one. I had it on a list to see, and I just never got around to.
Yeah, I think
seeing it simply.
Really like this one. It's a little slow for me. I don't know. Maybe I watched it at the wrong time both times. I originally rated it a little bit lower. I did bring the rating up because I do feel like, by all accounts, on the surface, it looks like a good movie. It should be a good movie, but for some reason it didn't gel with me as much as it does gel with the rest of the internet, because it seems like this is a very loved film. I mean, my rating is actually lower than the overall on IMDb, which is a 7.1.
Wow, that's interesting, eh?
Yeah, so there you go, man. What's yours?
Cool. All right, so coming in at number 10 is, the original release of it was 1967, but it was released in the US in 1968, and that's when we would have seen it. And that is King Kong Escapes.
I actually had this one on DVD and never got to it.
Oh, really? Yeah, this one's directed by Ishiro Honda, of course, who directed the original Godzilla film, too. So, I hadn't seen this movie in so long, I really didn't even remember it. And I popped it in a little while ago and watched it and just loved it. It's so much fun. It's a silly movie, because it's like, King Kong versus like a robotic King Kong, basically. It's, this evil ruler kind of brings in King Kong when his fucking Mecha Kong or whatever can't do the job that he wants him to do, right? And of course, all things go batshit crazy, and then they end up fighting and stuff. It's really silly, but it's so much fun. I mean, if you like films or any of those type of things, you'll love this film. There's not really a whole lot to say about it. It's just a fun time. I mean, it's Ishiro Honda, man. You know what you're gonna get. Fucking miniatures and just odd camera shots and just stupid things.
Some of those are weird, man.
I know that it just looks, the fight scenes are actually pretty funny though. They're pretty well done, and it's just a lot of fun. I can't recommend it enough, so, I mean, it's not a great film or anything, but it's fun. I give it a 7 out of 10. So.
7 out of 10. All right.
Yeah.
So coming in at my number 9 is a film that I don't think Moodz has seen. This film is available on the Criterion Collection. I was able to check it out via Hulu because they actually have the, I believe, entire Criterion Collection library up on Hulu, or at least a good majority of it. And that is Kirinuku? Do you know how to say this film, Moodz?
Kirinuku? I don't know. I know too. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how to say the title, but it follows 2 women who were raped and killed by a group of samurai soldiers. They kind of reappear or kind of like reincarnate into some vengeful ghosts who seduce and murder all of the samurai. Like that's kind of their goal, is to kill all the samurai in the world because they, destroyed them. Things get a little bit crazy when one of the the two women, one of the woman's son and the other woman's husband. So it was, a mother-in-law type thing. He returns from 3 years, being a samurai soldier and, in war, basically. Mm-hmm. Now, his job is to rid whatever's killing the samurais. So essentially, he has to figure out that, kill these two women that are ghosts. So it's kind of weird. It's kind of a weird story, like Japanese films sometimes are, especially from this early era. But it's very good. I mean, I feel like the atmosphere and the cinematography, the locations, like the way that it was filmed was really cool. The story is a bit shaky for me. I feel like this is a film where you need to watch it a couple times to really pull in all that it has to offer. I did very much enjoy it. I just, sometimes it's hard for me to connect with like these wonky sort of plots like that, because it doesn't really explain it like all that great like to you right away. So you kind of have to piece this stuff together, and the rules are kind of not explained well, because you're dealing with like ghosts who can like seduce and like kill people, and they're like kind of like cats and shit. They're like kind of like cat creature. It's fucking kind of weird, but very good. I mean, I enjoyed it a lot. Like I said, it's definitely a film that I feel like I need to watch again to fully enjoy it. So I do want to pick up the actual Criterion release when I can. I think it might be on Blu-ray, actually.
It is on Blu-ray.
Yeah, so
DVD
I think it would look amazing. This is a black and white film. It looks good. Like just on streaming on Hulu, like it looks good. I imagine it would look great in Blu-ray. Overall, I came in at a 6.5 on that one out of 10. Solid movie. Definitely want to check it out again.
Cool. All right, coming in at number 9 for myself is the, of course, 1968 film Dracula has Risen from the Grave. Of course, starring Christopher Lee as Dracula. This is one I actually haven't watched in a long time. But it's basically, I'll just read the storyline quickly. It's like got like two little liner on here. When his castle is exorcised, Dracula plots his revenge against the Monaster, who performed the rites by attempting to make the holy man's young niece his bride. I like this film. Actually, when I first watched this film years ago, I wasn't really the hugest fan of it. I thought it was kind of dragged at points, and I was kind of being, the whole subplot, like the love story subplot that goes on and stuff. I was just like, I was kind of in and out of the feel of it, but, or that storyline. But overall, though, it's got a really good gothic-y feel to it, and Christopher Lee is always great as Dracula. This is a film that grew on me over time, big time, actually. Like I said, I wasn't like the hugest fan of it, but, it's a good film, though. Did you see this one, Jeremy? Or JP?
Yeah, if you actually remember correctly, I reviewed it on the podcast a few weeks ago.
That's right.
It'd be a few months ago now.
Yeah, I remember now. I remember. But yeah, I think what really sells this film for me is Christopher Lee's performance, though.
He's a really good Dracula.
Yeah, I think that's what's really good. I do like the feel and the atmosphere of this film. And I think it's, I think when I first watched it, I thought maybe the look of it was kind of cheesy at times, like, in the grave and, things like that. But, I don't know. This one is definitely a lot better than I remember it. But, it's definitely one of the later Hammer films. And, I think it's a good one. I don't think it's that crazy great or anything, but like I said, the subplot and it kind of takes me out of it and stuff. I don't really remember what you said about it. Like, what were your thoughts on it?
Oh, I definitely really much enjoyed it because I felt like there was some interesting stuff there. For example, like when Dracula would be on screen, they kind of use like this filter, like forget if it's like a greenish filter or like a greenish red filter, and it kind of had this like evil, demanding presence. It gave off that, and I like stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. Another thing, I really like the location of it. Just sort of that. I don't know what era it is. I'm really bad with eras and stuff, but like I like how the houses were. They were like on the rooftops and stuff. Like I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a fun film. It really is, and I'm going to give this one a solid 7 out of 10 also. So Dracula's Risen from the Grave. Christopher Lee, he's so badass as Dracula, man. He really is. Right, eyes, right? His eyes in the film.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, so coming in at number 8, I believe for me, is a film, obviously from 1968. It is titled Targets. This film follows an elderly horror film star, oddly enough, while making a personal appearance at a drive-in theater, confronts a psychotic Vietnam War veteran who's turned into a mass-murdering sniper. Honestly, this film should maybe be higher on my list because it is a really good movie. I feel like some of the like shots where you're like seeing it through the sniper scope is just so uncomfortable because you're like, it's kind of this weird perspective where the people are just driving down the highway. They have no idea that their life is about to end within a second, you know? There's something uncomfortable about that. It's a voyeuristic just level of just death. It's right there. It's like one split second and you're dead and you had no idea at all that it was coming. And that alone, that idea, like this sniper, like picking off people is super interesting to me. And I love that about the movie. Have you seen this one?
You know what? I've never seen this one. It was on a list to watch too. And I couldn't get a copy of it. So
yeah,
I've never seen it.
Of course, Boris Karloff is in it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, he plays the old horror movie star.
So he kind of plays himself.
Yeah,
really.
And there's a really cool scene at the end of the film with a drive-in and stuff. You know, this is one that I really kind of wish I would have had a chance to revisit because I watched it early in preparation for this list, and it's a little fuzzy in my memory. But I just remember those intense scenes where you're kind of like through the eyes of the killer as he is, you know, on a fucking water tower, you know, staring at cars driving past, just picking people off, and then he just gathers his shit up and like runs away, you know, gets away scot free, and it kind of is like, wow, that feels like that can happen at any time, you know, especially with technology being so primitive back in 1968. So yeah, Targets. I give that one about a 7 out of 10.
Cool. Yeah, that one, I hope gets like a Blu-ray release or something like that. It seems like one of those films that could be cool. Yeah, moving along here. My number 8 is a film that's starring Peter Cushing, released by Grindhouse actually last year, I believe, and it's called Corruption. Did you get a chance to see this one?
I didn't. I didn't even see this one on the list.
Oh shit. Yeah. Released by Grindhouse. So they did a really good job with it. Basically, Peter Cushing is a surgeon, that, has a girlfriend who gets her face all fucked up. She gets all scarred and shit like that. And he figures out a way of kind of regenerating her skin in the film, by murdering other women and extracting their fluids from their pituitary gland. Right. But the problem is, so he injects their fluids into her and it kind of regenerates her face and it's all good. However, like it says on here, the effects of those fluids only last a little bit. So she starts to, digress in her progression. Right. So she starts to look all shitty again and stuff. So basically, ultimately, it leads him to start killing more and more women. And it's kind of a story like that, right? It's just his love for this, his girlfriend and stuff. And he's just gone off the fucking deep end and he goes on a murdering spree. And, yeah, it's a really fun flick, man, to be honest. And it's quite different for Peter Cushing to be playing this type of role too. It's very sadistic, very simple kind of premise to it. But, I love the ending in this film, man. The ending is fantastic. It really is what sells the film, in my opinion. The effects in the film aren't like overly the greatest, but they're kind of cool for the time, how you kind of get that, almost like that kind of rippled, kind of scar effect, from those older films. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That kind of look, and it just kind of looks old school, but I like that look to it and stuff. So, but yeah, Peter Cushing's fantastic in this film. There's some pretty interesting kills in this. It's not as gory and bloody as I thought, but there is some pretty shocking moments in this one, surprisingly. Like I said, for a Peter Cushing film, it's definitely one of the more kind of hardcore ones that he's been in my opinion, anyways. But overall, fantastic. It's got a great ending and stuff. Actually, the ending's awesome. But it definitely has its moments. I think it drags a little bit at times, which is kind of a shame. But, overall, it's still a really fun watch. And I give it about a 7 out of 10. Also, what's with my 7s?
Yeah.
But no, it's definitely worth the pickup, though. Like I said, Grindhouse Releasing's released it, and it's got a fantastic transfer on it. Like, it looks, like, amazing. So definitely check it out.
Yeah, I'm surprised that one didn't come up in my research, because I really tried to get, like, all of the more popular known ones watched, and I don't know, it doesn't ring a bell. It might be on there and I missed it. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
All right, so
Cool.
Coming in at number 7 for me is one that Moodz has mentioned, and that is Dracula Has Risen from the Grave. Of course, from
Number 7 for
1968.
you, and I had it number 9 for me.
Yeah, I really liked it, man. I remember in my review, you can listen back to it. It's, it'll be on the ratings page somewhere.
Yeah, as soon as you said that, I remembered. I was like, oh, yeah, he totally talked about that.
Yeah. I just love the style of it. And it was something new for me because I'm very unfamiliar with the Hammer era, all of those films, all of those Draculas and Frankensteins and stuff. So this was the first one that I think that I've seen. I might have seen one other one, like the Satanic Rites of Dracula or something like that. But this one, I wasn't really expecting much. I went into it and I was like, wow, this is a pretty solid little tale. I actually found it a little bit slow like you, but I found it kind of atmospheric, and I thought the camera work was really good as well, and that kind of kept me engaged. I like the characters. I like when the one dude goes in and he's like playing that game where he's spinning the broom around. Like, it felt really like European to me. Like, I could never see someone doing that in the US or something. But so that was interesting to see. The girls, like, they wore like low cut tops, which was kind of interesting as well.
Yeah.
And I overall, I mean, the scene where he goes into the niece's family, the uncle, who I believe is like a priest or something, they have like different views. Like, I found all that interesting. Like I said, Christopher Lee, that presence, geez, man, like, very, 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 like, just demanding. I'd never really kind of witnessed like that form of Dracula before, so that was definitely really cool for me. I'm not going to talk about it too much as we just kind of commented on it, but 7.5 out of 10 for me on that one.
7.5 out of 10. Cool. All right, so coming in at number 7 for myself is a film starring Vincent Price, and it is called Witchfinder General. This one, I remember watching it years ago too, and actually being kind of bored by it, to be honest. Like, it's like a period piece in a way, right? It's, in that era of,
it's like 1700s.
Yeah, it's a period piece. So like,
17th
if you're not
century, 1600s.
If you're not in the mood for it, you're going to get like all those old school costumes and horse riding. It's, the period where they were killing witches, and that's basically what it is. Vincent Price plays a character named Matthew Hopkins, and he's just going from town to town, basically doing his duty, doing God's work, and he's taking out witches left and right. It's pretty much the short and long of the film right there. But it's one, like, Vincent Price is such a fucking dick in this film. I swear to God, this is probably the most dickish role he's ever played. Like, you hate his character so much because he's taking like bribes and shit and doing like really bad things with sexual favors and shit like that. And, he's doing really bad shit, and, he gets into a little bit of trouble. And yeah, I really enjoy it now though, because I think this type of role for Vincent Price works. It's kind of cool to see him play, this really kind of bad guy role. And I don't know. I really enjoy it though. It's a good one. But like I said, I think the sets used in this are fantastic. I think the filming and the atmosphere in this film is fantastic too. It's one thing about these period pieces that never ceases to amaze me sometimes, man, is like, how the costumes are so amazing. Do you ever notice? I know you're not the biggest period piece fan, but
no, like, I am. I love period pieces. Jeremy's not the biggest period piece.
That's right. Jeremy's not a big fan of them. But yeah, have you seen this film, Witchfinder General?
Yeah.
Okay, so the costumes are so fantastic in this, but I think what sells it for me, man, Vincent Price in this film is just, he's such a fucking dick. I'll probably just cut it off there because I have a feeling that JP has it later on his list, and we'll end up talking about it more. So, but yeah, no, it's like I said, it's another one that grew on me over time. Like, I wasn't
risen from the grave.
Exactly. I remember when I first watched it, I didn't really care for it. I thought it was actually kind of boring. But there's a lot more things going on in the film and stuff like that. But it's a really solid watch, and I give it about a 7 out of 10 again. So.
Awesome. So coming in at number 6, this might surprise some people, including Moodz, but it is Spider Baby, or The Maddest Story Ever Told. Of course, this does have a 1967 release date, but it was like right there. Like it had a limited release, like the last month of 1967. So we included it because everybody kind of considers its real release in 1968. Yeah. Of course, directed by Jack Hill, starring Lon Chaney Jr., as well as a very young Sid Haig. We did an entire review on this film, so I'm not going to get into it too much, but it is a weird one, and I feel like it definitely influenced Rob Zombie. We mentioned that before, but I really feel like it did. It kind of really feels like House of a Thousand Corpses to me, but like a more tame, earlier version of it. I don't know if I should really go into it, because we really did do like an entire review on it.
Yeah, I mean, go back and check it out. I don't remember what episode it was, but I don't know. You probably know off the top of your head.
Yeah,
but it's an interesting thing. I don't even want to say certain words that might just kind of give it away and stuff, but it's an intriguing watch.
Yeah, it's very
surprising.
It's like you're kind of just surprised at some of the things that you're seeing and stuff like that. I don't know why people, because I've heard people say that this one just didn't do it for them, but it's such an interesting movie for an early period film. I thought it was a, great watch. It's an interesting story that is very like unconventional. Like the story is completely out there and weird.
Mm-hmm.
So my rating on Spider Baby has not changed. It's still a 7.5 out of 10.
Cool. All right, so the first film on my list that was shot in black and white, actually.
Which is interesting because we didn't mention that. This is a perfect, like, weird era where it's like there's a mixture of black and whites and color, like, all throughout this year.
I know. It is strange, actually. So coming in number 6 is a film by Gene Roland. It's actually his first film that he did, and it's called Rape of the Vampire.
Which we mentioned earlier.
Which we did mention earlier in the Rue Morgue Weird Stats and Morbid Facts, which was so fucking strange.
Yeah,
that actually came up. But yeah, it's a Rape of the Vampire. Gene Roland's black and white effort. This is the only film that he ever did in black and white, actually. It's kind of strange that he did it in black. I don't know why, but anyways, this one has a really complicated type, surreal type plot to it. It's really, really fucking strange. It's definitely one of those films that you have to see for yourself to kind of figure out. It's really hard to explain to somebody. But kind of the short and long of it is, basically the film starts out with, I think it's like a psychoanalyst, is trying to convince these girls that they're not vampires, right? Because these girls are sitting there and they're totally they totally believe that they're vampires and stuff. So, this psychoanalyst is trying to tell them that they're not vampires, that it's all in your head and shit like that. And they truly believe that they are, sucking blood and stuff like that. And then there's like a whole second half of the movie and it kind of switches from that. And then there's like, so it says, in the second, the queen of the vampire and her acolytes arrive at the scene where this is all going on and stuff, resurrect the dead, and promulgate, or whatever, the cause of the undead, while the medical researcher finds an antidote to vampirism. So this movie right here is shot in black and white. It's very, very surreal. There's not a lot of dialogue in it, and it's kind of like slow pace, but it's so visual and surreal when you watch it. So you kind of almost lose a little bit of the story when you're watching it because it's so visual. You kind of get sucked in by what you're seeing. Because if you're familiar with any Gene Roland films, a lot of his earlier films were all shot in the same location. So you actually start to recognize the same location stuff. But the beauty is that they're amazing. The locations are fucking awesome. Right. So it's got that. But this one right here is, like I said, it's very surreal. It's like very kind of dreamlike and, fucking strange, man. This is one of the stranger Gene Roland films out there, and without giving anything away, it's a really cool film. But I will say it probably will take multiple watches to kind of absorb the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? You ever watch a film when you kind of like, you're so engulfed in what you're seeing, you kind of forget about the actual story?
Yeah,
sometimes.
That's Kurokino or whatever the hell.
Yeah, this is a great example of that right there. Because the first time I watched this one was when Redemption released it a couple years ago. And I actually had to watch it again. I was like, holy shit, I think I missed something. But I really didn't. It's kind of like two different type things. It starts out as one and it kind of goes to another part. But like most Gene Roland films, are very visual, very captivating, always beautiful girls, lots of nudity, shit like that's going on, right? But very intriguing. It's very intriguing. I definitely recommend it. And not a lot of people talk about that one, his first film, which was, of course, shot in black and white. And I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10 because, me, I love visual, atmospheric, strange films. So love it. Definitely recommend it.
Yeah, that one was on my short list to check out, and unfortunately I didn't get to it in time. Who released it, did you say?
Redemption.
Yeah, see, I didn't really, save it up for the car and stuff. That was just one that I just couldn't get to. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, you definitely, I wasn't even sure if it was any good or not. It was just on the list, so now that you have it on your top 10, it's definitely one that I'm going to seek out.
But like I said, it's one of those films that even after one watch, you might not be too sure about it.
Yeah. Which so I've had a couple of those during this venture. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So yeah, breaking into the top 5, we have another film that was mentioned already, and that is Witchfinder General. Moodz was correct. It was on my list. I actually just watched this one last night. The Scream Factory Vincent Price collection. It has a Blu-ray, and man, great collection so far. Awesome. Yeah. I've not watched everything in it. This one really surprised me because I was going into it not expecting much, based on the other film that I've seen in there, which I believe was The Pit and the Pendulum. I just wasn't really expecting much, but this one is really awesome, dude. This is so cool. It's also known as The Conqueror Worm. On the Blu-ray disc, it actually has an intro from Vincent Price, which is just, that guy is just something else, man. Like, I know people say that, but like, for not seeing much of his, of like, the majority of his work, like, he just has this, you just want to listen to him, like, anytime he speaks. So, it follows, Vincent Price, who is like you said, a scumbag. Like, this guy, I think he even said himself, this is kind of his most despicable role. At least he considers it.
That's interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But it really is though, man. Vincent Price is pretty much my favorite actor up there with Jeffrey Combs. And I've seen a lot of Vincent Price films, and this one definitely, he's a fucking scumbag in this film. Like, it's nothing like you ever seen. Like, you're used to Vincent Price, he's the man, but he's you fucking hate him in this film, man.
So when you first see him, they basically go from town to town. They're witch hunters. People accuse somebody of being a witch, and then they come in and they force them to confess. Essentially meaning, like, beat them until they can't do anything else but tell them to stop by confessing.
That's the thing that's so crazy, man, because he seems like, he's doing God's work and all that type of shit, but they don't even really care. They're just like, they don't even want to find out the truth.
That image, like, he wants that to be his projection.
That's the thing that makes him such a scumbag, is that he doesn't even care. Like, he might even know that you're not a witch, but he doesn't care.
They bend the rules all the fucking time, dude. It really is kind of like the real witch hunts, though, right?
Yeah,
it was all about money and shit like that.
Oh yeah.
Essentially, what you do is, like, you beat the hell out of somebody, and I heard this was in a movie, but you beat somebody long enough, and they'll tell you anything you want to hear. You know what I mean?
That's true.
And they essentially do that. And the first thing that I noticed was when he goes and talks to the girl, I thought he was going to be like a good character, and then he receives a sexual favor, and I was like, wait, what? I was like so surprised. Like, I thought he was like gonna be like the good witch hunter. I thought it was gonna be more about like hunting actual witches, but no, all of these people are like actual just regular people, and they're like burning them alive and drowning them and fucking hanging them, dude. It's brutal stuff. And I feel like one of my favorite scenes is when they tie their hands up and they're all beaten up and stuff and they're pulling them to their death. The way that it was filmed and like the noises and everybody's yelling, like it seems so chaotic and stressful, and you kind of put yourself in the position of the accusee, and it's just dreadful. It's a dreadful thought, right? I mean, it's being like, you know, sentenced to death, and it's such bullshit too, right? I mean, it's all bullshit because they're like, we need to do it in, you know, the name of the law. Like, what about justice? And it's like, dude, you're like murdering people, you know? And it's fucked up, dude. And it's so fucked up. It's so pleasurable to like be a part of and see this like disgusting side of, and you know, like you said, the set pieces, the clothing, his hair and shit, dude. Yeah. Fucking top notch, dude.
No, I know. It looks so good, man.
This one, you can obviously tell the ones that are fresher in my head because I have more things to say about them, but I really much enjoyed Witchfinder General. I pretty much loved it, and I give that one a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I haven't watched it in a little bit. I think I watched it when the Vincent Price set came out, or the Volume 2 came out.
It was Volume 1.
Or when Volume 1, that's right. When Volume 1 came out.
So that was a while back.
Yeah, when I rewatched it. I've seen it before, but... So it's been a while. Exactly.
So number 5, we have a film that I actually watched in one of my classes last semester, which is intriguing that that this film was shown, because I didn't even know it was from 1968 until I was looking on the list, and it popped up. I was like, huh. And it just got released by Criterion like a few years ago, and that is a film called The Living Skeleton, which is a Japanese film. So the class we watched this in was World Cinema 2, which is from like World War II up. So my professor showed this film during the lecture on Japanese cinema. This movie's interesting. It's it's a film that takes place on the sea, and it's a ghostly, if you want to say that. I think the main positive aspect of this film is the cinematography is so fucking amazing. It just has such a creepy atmosphere with fog coming off the lake and things like that. It just really, really adds to the mood and the feelings of fear that are in these characters that it takes place on this huge ship and on this boat. Not many films up until this time, horror films, I could remember that takes place on a ship. There's probably some, and if you guys know any, you probably just let me know. It's cool. It's a cool film. Check it out if you get a chance. You can pick it up on a Criterion box set. The Living Skeleton, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 on that one. It's interesting, and it's really cool. Awesome cinematography. I think that's one of the main reasons to watch that film.
Coming in at number 5 for myself here is a film by Ingmar Bergman, and it is called Hour of the Wolf. Did you get a chance to see this one?
I did.
Okay. Hour of the Wolf. Wow. Okay. So I've only watched this movie once. This was a first time watch, and I watched it a little bit ago. This is a fucking strange movie, man. This is really strange. I think I need to watch it again, to be honest. So it's really kind of confusing. Here, I'll kind of read the... it's not really confusing, but I think there's more to it than, just a one watch type deal, which is really cool, man. Ingmar Bergman does really fantastic films. And this one also is shot in black and white too. So it says basically the storyline: an artist in crisis is haunted by nightmares from the past in Ingmar Bergman's only horror film, which takes place in a windy island during the hour of the wolf. Between midnight and dawn, he tells his wife about his most painful memories. This is a really, really surreal type feeling film. It's very psychological too, actually, which I really liked. There's something very surreal about Ingmar Bergman's filmmaking. The way the film starts out is his wife is telling the story to the camera, right? So you already got that fourth wall thing going on there. And then it gets into it, and, he's obviously having emotional breakdowns and shit like that. But then his wife starts having these kind of visions of, he's a painter, and she starts seeing like his visions through his paintings and stuff. I don't really know how to explain this without fucking it out, man. It's really fucking strange. It's really, really strange, but it's so intriguing. Like I literally watched this movie on the edge of my seat. I'm not joking. Like I didn't even put my back on my couch or anything. I just sat there and watched, bent over, like, well, it sounded bad, bent over, but just watching it like that. And I was like, this movie's fucking weird, man. I do want to revisit it because I know there's more going on in it and stuff like that, but it's really, really fucking trippy. And I have to say the end of the film was really bizarre too. It was really, really bizarre. The structure of the film seems like it's almost all over the place too. You can't tell if it's like, a vision or if it's like a flashback or what certain things are going on, but wow, was it ever, it was surreal and it was beautiful. It was just amazing. I really enjoyed it, man. And again, those set pieces, man, he somehow managed to make this film look like it was shot in like the 1800s for some reason, but it was clear. It was beautiful. It kind of has that throwback feel, which is fantastic. And the acting was great in it too. But it's one of these fucking films. Like, I don't even know what to say about it. I think I need another watch on it, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fantastic. It feels kind of almost art housey in a way, I had to explain it, but Hour of the Wolf, I'm going to give an 8 out of 10. It's probably going to get a little higher for me because with another watch, I would have loved to have watched it a second time before doing this, but I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I don't know what to say about it. Not too many times I get all fucked up when I'm describing a film, but I don't know. I really enjoyed it. So.
All right, so coming in at number 4 on my list is Ingmar Bergman's Hour of the Wolf. So,
of course
I kind of have a lot of the same things to say that you said. It's very surreal. It's very weird. It's a film that you definitely need to watch multiple times because I can tell that there's massive amounts of shit going on there psychologically that there's
so many psychological undertones in this film. It's like, you really need to sit down and just kind of pick things apart. And like, I know there's more things going on.
Yeah, definitely. And what it is, it's the artist who is kind of taking his like nightmarish arts and it's being projected into like physical reality.
Where
but
his
it's
wife
not
ends up
telling you that it's doing that.
Yeah.
So you're fucking weirded out and confused at what's going on because nobody mentions it. It does, like, it's not part of the story. It's just, it's like, here it is.
That's the thing. And you can't tell if she's having these visions or if it's like, a flashback or if there's certain things that are so kind of unexplained, which kind of adds to the feel of it.
Projector and plugged it into somebody's brain. And then whatever was coming out of the projection was coming into reality.
Well, it's like, cause he's painting these kind of haunting visions and stuff. And I think basically what was going on is for some fucking weird reason, she was seeing those nightmares in like her reality, but it might not be her reality. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like she's having these things, like it kind of cuts to a scene where she's talking to this old lady and stuff. And you're like, okay, I think this was actually something that he painted and this was being projected onto her somehow. Man, if anyone's seen Hour of the Wolf, definitely leave your feedback on it because I think there's a lot of different. I think there could be a really cool discussion about this film. But I like the meaning of Hour of the Wolf, though. Yeah. The time where the most people die and the most babies are born.
Yeah, and I was actually going to mention that. I thought that was a fantastic little scene where they kind of because. Like going into this, I thought it was going to be about werewolves, like just based on the title. Yeah. So I was like wondering where the Hour of the Wolf was going to fit in. That's like poetic, dude. Like that is some high class writing right there. And, the tagline itself is, the hour of the wolf is the hour between night and dawn, is the hour when most people die. It is the hour when the sleepless are haunted by their deepest fear, when ghosts and demons are most powerful. Like that is some deep shit. I love that, dude. And there's some scenes towards the end that are just creepy, dude. Just like, you don't know why, you don't know what's going on. You're just kind of like, you're just sucked into it and you're just kind of like waiting for it all to be like resolved. And you're just like, what's happening?
Dude, isn't the dinner scene like oddly unsettling?
Yeah, there's a lot of unsettling.
Like it's so weird. You're trying to like figure out what the hell is going on and why these conversations are happening. And you're like, I felt awkward. I felt like I was being scared by it. It was really weird. I was like, this is so weird. But, actually there's one part in this film that kind of got me thinking a little bit. It's when, the wife is talking to that, I'm assuming the projected image of one of his haunted drawings, the old lady. And she tells her to go and grab the satchel that housed a bunch of paintings and stuff, or pictures. And she told her not to allow him to rip them up. And I thought there was a lot more to that right there. There's so many undertones to that. Yeah. And you can explore that a lot more, right?
Yeah.
Because it says a lot. It's like, okay, you can't let these pictures be destroyed because it'll destroy me. And it almost like was, maybe she was like, she was death. She was haunting. She was exactly what's going on with him. Right. And by telling his wife not to ruin these pictures is saying, if you ruin these pictures, you're going to, destroy me too. That's how I kind of took that. And it was like, wow, this movie's really powerful. There's a lot of things going on here.
This is like a film class film where you need a bunch of people who are really into film to watch it and sit in a room and discuss. Like, this is what I thought. This is what I thought. Well, oh, that's interesting. I didn't think that, but now that you mention that, it made me think of this. Like, you know what I mean? There's so much to discuss here. I think I'm on the same page as you where these are both first time watches for us, and you just know that it's really heavy and it's something you need to see multiple times.
Exactly. So what did you rate that one?
Oh, I give that one the same as you, 8 out of 10.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and I believe that, could you see yourself going up on that one?
Oh, yeah.
With a multiple watch?
Watching it and, just two wires connecting, light bulb lighting up, like, oh, and it could instantly dramatically change my rating.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, number 4, I had to give it to Spider Baby. I know we talked about this one on the show, and, Jack Hill, according to what I've been looking at, directed quite a few films in 1968, and Spider Baby, it was a good, you probably already hear my opinions that we talked about on the last show, or whenever we did Spider Baby as the main review. I didn't even really hear about this movie, to be completely honest, when we talked about it on the show. And I was really surprised with it. It has a really, really weird atmosphere with this family. And, I think at the time it's pretty much a highly controversial film, in my opinion. I know it was a drive-in movie. It's obviously, you could obviously see that. And, the people who were going to the drive-in, were probably expecting this type of movie. But it was, I think for the time, it was highly ahead of its time, and as we get up later on the list, I think we see more movies like that. But I just think it's a really, not talked about movie very often outside of the horror community, which is kind of a shame because it's a really strange film with some really weird characters and a crazy ass family before crazy families were a thing in horror films. So, I have to give Spider Baby, credit for that. So that's why I put it at number 4 on this list. I'm going to stay with my rating on what I gave it on the past episode. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay, so coming in at number 4 for me, I got a film directed by Roy Baltine or something like that, and it is called Twisted Nerve. This is very, very interesting. Right from the opening credits, you're like, I recognize that. If you've seen a film called Kill Bill, there's a little bit of a score in it with whistling. The Whistle, we'll call
it.
Everyone probably knows.
Herman, I believe.
Yeah, but this is where that comes from. It comes from this film,
which
Twisted
is
Nerve.
Tarantino is just he's stolen so much stuff that people just kind of forget that it was in something else, and then he'll be like, wait a minute. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
He gets credit for it too. Like it's like people like respect that he does stuff like that. And it's interesting that he does, borrow a lot because it makes his movies fucking great.
Mm-hmm. So the story of Twisted Nerve is, it follows your main character, Martin, / Georgie. This one right here is also another kind of like, has a psychological type element to it also. But anyways, Georgie or Martin, to his mom is a very normal type person. but he's got a really twisted personality. He's got a really twisted nerve, yeah. So Martin is potentially, you know, got two personalities. Anyways, he has another personality that he calls himself Georgie. Anyways, one day he's out and he meets this girl. Shit, I can't remember what the fuck her name was.
She works at the library.
Yeah, I think her name was Susan in the film. He meets this girl at the library and he becomes like obsessed with her. You know, he just like instantly needs to have her kind of deal.
Infatuated.
Oh yeah,
compulsive.
Completely infatuated. And of course he's in his Georgie, you know, personality. And Georgie basically is a child. He's like a man child. You know, looks like a man, but he's like 6 years old. And that's the way
everybody
he talks.
else, he seems, you know, slightly retarded.
But he, you know, he's just slow. He's different. You know, I think they even used the word retarded in the film. Actually, once.
They did.
It's kind of funny.
Times, I think.
But anyways, he conjures up this amazing plan where he tells his mom and his stepfather that he's, you know, that he's going to go on a trip. And, you know, they front him, they basically give him the money and stuff like that. He goes to this hotel. He strikes his deal with the concierge guy or whatever to play his dad. Anyways, he shows up at the Susan's house with bags in hand, right? And he actually makes his way into their lives. They bring him in. He basically says that, you know, his parents are on a trip and he needs a place to stay. And, you know, so that's how he gets in this house. And he just becomes obsessed with this girl. And, well, I'll just leave the story right there. I don't really want to go any further. But anyways, short and long, he starts staying at this house and some crazy shit starts going down. Yeah, psychological, you know, drama, thriller. This one is a really, really fantastic film. You know, you can't, man, what's his name? Hywell Bennett, the guy that plays Martin / Georgie in this. Holy shit, man. He does such a great job from personalities. The personality switches in this are just fantastic. 1 minute he's Martin, the next minute he's Georgie, and you see it throughout the film too. It's so fantastic, man. He's not even really trying to hide it at points. He's just like, he just switches up. And, but I think the filmmaking, the way they edited this film was really cool because it does, you know, from scene to scene, you see Martin change so quickly. Do you notice that when you watch this film?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I love that about that, man. It was just like 1 minute he's Martin, next minute he's Georgie. It's fantastic. Great performances. But it just kind of comes around to like a batshit crazy ending. You know, I mean, in a way, a little predictable, I guess, at times, but you know, it's still very intriguing. It's kind of intense, and you really want to see what happens in the end of this film. It's fantastic.
Well, I think one of the reasons it's predictable is because we've seen this type of story like redone a lot with stuff like The Stepfather, where some bad person infiltrates your home and pretends to be somebody they're not.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I guess for the time in 1968, it probably wasn't, you know, that overdone, I'm assuming. So it was probably pretty fresh. But yeah, this film is, it's just driven by great performances, great music. You know, it is intense. You know, like I said, the acting is fantastic by everybody. And there's some really weird fucking undertones and shit that's going on in this film. I'm not going to say what they are. They add to it and it's just strange. It's strange. I know, you know what I'm talking about. There's a couple things that happen in this film where you're just like, what? Mm-hmm. But overall, really, really enjoyed the shit out of this film. I loved it. And just hearing that whistle score and, it was fantastic. But it does have a little bit of, you know, I found there is the odd kind of problem in it because there's a couple of certain things that, you know, the character of Georgie does in the film that's just certain things that he leaves around. And I don't really think you would generally do that if you weren't trying to, you know, be figured out. You know, I don't know. There was a couple certain things, but overall, really fantastic, enjoyable watch. I couldn't recommend it enough. And I give Twisted Nerve a solid 9 out of 10. Really loved it.
All right. Coming in to the top 3. My number 3 is Twisted Nerve. So once again, this happens again. Yeah, man, everything you say, spot on. I do agree that there's kind of one main story scene that kind of like does annoy you a bit, that it's like, it kind of, your character's supposed to be way smarter than this because of what you previously seen in the film that he was capable to do. He was one step ahead of everybody. He was manipulative. He was just, and that's what I love so much about it is like this guy is just on his game. Like he's a sneaky little bastard.
I just love how he becomes like the star of the house, and the scene where the mom brings him that awesome breakfast, and the dad's like, "Oh, here's my egg."
Which actually wasn't even the dad, right? He was like another tenant who was just like kind of dating the mom. I was unsure about what was going on in that relationship.
I think it was the stepdad actually. Like I think they were married or something. I don't know. I'm not even 100% sure on that either. Good point.
Yeah, but he's doing all this stuff on purpose. He's trying to be too good to be true. Like he's good. Mm-hmm. He's unknowingly, like to him, to the outsiders, it looks like he's unknowingly skillful at everything. Of course, we know that it's premeditated. And there's just something so interesting about that, like spy, double agent, like infiltrate the family and trick everybody. That is so interesting to me. It's almost kind of like in a voyeuristic way too, because they'll say things and do things because they don't think that he would understand or pick it up because he's supposed to be slow, but really we know that he's not. So we're seeing all this stuff. It's such an interesting dynamic. I really love this film. I
just love the switches, man. I love the switches from scene to scene where he was just like the way they edited it. Yeah. It's like he's Martin, he's Georgie, he's Martin, he's Georgie, and it was like quick scenes, man. It was just the way it flowed well.
Yeah, he's like being Georgie, and the girl feels sorry for him, right? Be like she's a nurturer at heart. She wants to help this guy.
Speaking of that, that is actually one of the things about the film that was kind of bugging me at time from time. I'm like, because she was really wanting to, help him and believe that he was, a child and stuff like that. But there was like certain things where, she's starting to catch on. But don't you think that the average person would have probably started questioning a little before, or maybe not question it because it's probably not right to question it?
Yeah, I think it was done all right, man. I didn't really feel like she should.
Like who the fuck?
I felt like she found out when
I was
she
more
was
asking a
supposed to.
question. Yeah, okay. I was just more asking a question, like if you felt like that progression actually was believable, as the film went along, because in reality, if someone was at your house, would you ever question that they were faking it? Probably not. As a viewer, you see her and you go, well, why aren't you catching on to this? Because we know as a viewer that he's multiple person, or he's doing two different personalities. But if you put yourself in her shoes, would you ever question her or just accept it? That's all I'm asking.
I'm a very
because it's pretty hard to question. Like you would never really you would never try to let yourself believe that someone is fucking faking this shit.
Yeah, but I'm a very skeptical person, so I would probably figure it out, or at least accuse somebody faster than the normal person.
Well, I'm a very pessimistic person too when it comes, in reality. But at the same time, I don't know if I could just sit there and go, dude, you're fucking faking this, man. Get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. There were so many good things that I liked about the film. Like you said, how he can just switch it. Like one moment you see him at the library, and then the next minute he's smoking, and he's like, "Fuck this horse shit book. This thing sucks." You know what I mean? And you're like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
Just fantastic movie. Out of all the ones that I watched that I'd never seen, this was the most surprising to me, because I was like, how have I not heard of this, and why have I not really heard anybody talk about this one? Overall, I come in right where you came in with a 9 out of 10. Potentially it could even go up higher. I definitely want to pick this one up. I actually rented this one when I seen it. Great movie. Super enjoyed it. Loved the theme, everything there was to it. Great stuff.
What was the rating again?
I gave it a 9 out of 10. Same as you.
I don't know why I keep fucking missing your ratings there. Anyways, my bad. I'm an asshole.
All right, number 3, we have Bergman's Hour of the Wolf. I actually saw this film probably 2012. Yeah, I say it's 2012. You guys know I go to this 24-hour horror marathon every year, and during one of the years, I think it was 2011, the first year I went, they showed a copy, a print of Hour of the Wolf, and I fell in love with it. This was pretty much before I was really, really into art cinema. This is, if you guys know Bergman, definitely an art house film for sure. And I wasn't really into Bergman at this time, or even really into art cinema that much. And it was just a really, really beautifully shot film, and it's a strange film. Probably the strangest film on this list, which is what you kind of expect from any type of Bergman, if you guys are familiar with Bergman. But you know what you're going to get. It's just an absolutely beautiful film, but it's really, really confusing. I know me and JP had a conversation about this when he told me he was watching it, and that it's definitely a film you have to watch a few times to completely understand what's going on with it. But that's usually the case with Bergman films. His films are confusing, but that's what he's known for making the viewers think. And I think we don't see that too often anymore in art house cinema. I mean, you got some good stuff, but nobody, I don't think you're going to have a legendary director like Bergman or Godard in a long time. So if you guys have a chance, Hour of the Wolf, one of Bergman's few horror films. He's a guy like Kubrick who is able to dabble in multiple genres and pretty much be successful. He's not like Kubrick. He has some bad films and not bad films, but not good films and things like that. But he has a pretty damn good track record, and it sucks that we lost him. A few years ago. I think it was 2000. Mid-2000s, if I stand corrected, because he is one of the top premier auteurs. So if you guys get a chance, pick up Hour of the Wolf. It's out of print. MGM released it, and I would not expect Scream Factory to pick it up, because that's not a film I think we would see Scream Factory be releasing, just because it's a really, really artsy movie, and it's very strange and weird, and it doesn't fit the Scream Factory standard. So hopefully we see either Criterion pick up the film, or it's just going to sit. It was really hard to get. Not really hard to get. It was hard to get for a while, but it seems like now it's not too expensive. You could find it online pretty easily for $10 or so. So if you guys get a chance, pick up Hour of the Wolf. It's just a really awesome film, but be prepared to watch it multiple times to fully get a good grasp on it. Hour of the Wolf, great example of Bergman's, thinking, and it's just a great film. 8.5 out of 10.
Moving along, my number 3 is already been mentioned by, of course, JP, and something, or we did a main review on it again, and that is Spider Baby. Again, not really a whole lot to say about it since we did, a full length review and stuff, but it's just one of these films that I just absolutely adore. I think everything about this film is just fantastic, and it's strange, and it's just kind of, when you first watch this film, I mean, it's definitely not predictable, is it?
No, it's out there.
It's totally out there. It's strange. It's got weird scenes, shot in beautiful black and white. I don't know.
It almost feels a little grindhousey as well.
It does, man. Jack Hill did such a great job with this film, but Spider Baby, I'm going to be sticking with my rating of 9.5 out of 10.
Nice.
All
right. My number 2 film from the year 1968 is the George A. Romero classic, Night of the Living Dead. I actually just revisited this one today. In preparation. It's been a couple years since I seen it. I felt like I needed to give it a rewatch. I thought about watching the colorized version just out of curiosity, but then I was like, no,
I've never watched the colorized version.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, because I remember when I ordered that Salem's Lot before it was re-released, when it was still out of print, and I got it like super cheap. It was a lot, and it came with Night of the Living Dead, the colorized version. She was like, should I? And then I was like, no, I got to stick to the original classic black and white for purpose of the show. But I do want to check out, next time I watch it, I swear to God, I'm watching that colorized version. So yeah, Night of the Living Dead. Obviously, I mean, the creation of zombies as we know them. A group of people enter a farmhouse after there is sort of these ghouls, these people who are just kind of stopping at nothing and just an onslaught and attack. One of the characters is Barbara, who, was visiting her mother's grave with her brother when she gets attacked by one of the people. She then enters the farmhouse, gets spooked to shit. Another character by the name of Ben shows up and is kind of like the hero character. He protects her. She remains comatose for damn near the rest of the movie, while him and the people that were hiding out in the basement are kind of butting heads. Mr. Cooper, he's a dick. Ben, and it's really sort of an ego thing. And I really kind of noticed that at the time, like at the time of watching it this time, they're not really worried about who's right and wrong anymore. They just want to be right for the sake of being right after a while, It's not about like survival anymore. They just like, one has his idea that wants to stay upstairs in Ben, and the other guy, Mr. Cooper, wants to go in the basement where he feels like it would be more safe. And at a certain point, it feels like they're no longer talking about what way is actually better. It's just more of like, I'm the leader type thing.
Yeah.
Which is played out really well. There's a lot of social commentary stuff like that in this film. I just love that fucking siege narrative, dude. And this does it so well. This is one of the best films to do it ever. A bunch of people I remember the first time I seen Night of the Living Dead. Still one of my favorite movie memories. I was on the edge of my seat that entire movie. I will say it doesn't have that effect on me so much anymore, and I crave that effect. I wish it would come back. I swear, anybody out there who has never seen Night of the Living Dead, whether it be just a young kid or somebody who managed to avoid it all these years, I guarantee you the first time you watch it, you're going to get those same feelings because it's that powerful of a movie. It's an amazing movie that was way out of nowhere in terms of just like the brilliance that was shown. And I think that oftentimes people just kind of almost forget about it because watching it now, where we've seen so many zombie films and stuff, like, yeah, it's a little dated and stuff, but at the time, this had never been fucking done ever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's something that is just incredibly original. I love this movie, dude. I kind of found I found a new love for it because I've always loved it. But watching it this time, I was like, I remembered why I loved it so much in the first place. That first time I watched it, it's one of the best horror films ever made in terms of a horror film. Like I say with Texas Chainsaw. 10 out of 10 on Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah. Alrighty. So coming in at number 2 for myself is also George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead. Well, what can I say about Night of the Living Dead? Cooper is the biggest he's one of the biggest assholes ever.
Yeah, but isn't it interesting how it played out though? Right?
Oh yeah. It is interesting. I recently got to see this on the big screen a few months back, and it was just so enjoyable to see it on a huge screen. Like, I mean, I've watched Night of the Living Dead so many times over the years from like little ass TVs and just the progression.
Yeah, right. It's one of those films that you've seen in every way possible, whether it's on like an old like tube TV with the bit like back in the fucking 90s, like on a late at night public station with fucking Elvira or something. There's so many ways to see it because it's public domain.
Yeah. One thing I've always loved about Night of the Living Dead is that, it is a really, really low budget film, but to me, it always feels it doesn't feel like a huge budget, but it just feels like there's more to the film than just that low budget, And the other thing that's always captivated me about this film is the lead in the film, of course, Ben, played by Dwayne Jones, being black, this is why this film's so influential, It was interesting, and I really like the way George A. Romero explained it in the documentary. He's like, it wasn't even about trying to break any grounds with having a black man star in a film, which was really unheard of for those times. I think it was like one of the first films ever. In a starring role. But basically, what George Romero said is that he got the starring role because he was the best actor. I love that about this film,
which is legit as hell and ahead of its time.
Yeah, it's just so interesting how that came about. But Night of the Living Dead is just the start of something. It was the start of zombies. It's just everything.
It's something
and
that will outlive us all.
It's a horrific film, and just the whole idea and everything that happens in this film is just so original. And Romero is really a genius for doing this. But like I said, I just love the way this whole film is, man. Like the opening scene in the film with the zombie, like I'll never forget the first time I seen it. It scared the fucking shit out of me, man.
Yeah, this is a scary movie.
It really did scare me, man. And this movie to me is so claustrophobic too, because they're in this house and you're going, how the fuck are they going to get out of this shit, man? Like there's
almost like when
zombies, there's death.
When they do open the door for whatever reason, like you almost feel like this heat disappear and like a cool wave of like fresh night air come in. Like you can like I picture that's what it feels like because I'm so in it. Like I'm in that claustrophobic feeling. And when they, everything from the radio broadcasts, which are done so well, to the scene where they go out to the gas pump, where it's just like a simple mistake just fucks everything up. Like, and it seems really real to me.
And one of the, like when they're, that's a good point with the broadcasting and stuff. The interviews towards the end of the film, like, oh yeah, the journalists are doing the interviews on TV and stuff. I never realized how much I love that until I watched Dawn of the Dead. In the beginning of the film is, in the TV station and stuff, and Romero has a little part in there too and stuff. And, they're doing all that kind of journalism and it just has that real type feel to it and stuff. After just kind of relating the two, man, Romero captures that so well. In his films, just like how that reporting, it's like fast paced. It's like it's going down right now and stuff.
Yeah.
And, it's why I love Dawn of the Dead so much. And I mean, not just because of that certain scene, but, Night of the Living Dead. Wow. I didn't realize how much I loved it until after, watching Dawn of the Dead 1,000 times and kind of relating the two. And it's like, that's so cool how he does that. He kind of brings that in, but yeah, there's a lot to, talk about Night of the Living Dead, but fantastic film. And, I mean, it's amazing. 10 out of 10.
2 10s right there, baby. And,
Number 2, got to give it to Polanski's Rosemary's Baby. Now, this film, really, really, really created the occult genre, in my opinion, or really exploded it into mainstream cinema. This movie is so fucking ahead of its time just because of the fact that, there wasn't films like this in the past. Definitely in this kind of depth. And, Pulaski, just like, Bergman, but not on the same level, a very, very, very talented filmmaker with a great background on cinema. So to see him, come here to America and given a chance to do some films, he did some films, in Europe. So he comes here and he picks up Rosemary's Baby, and he just fucking nails it. And it just has some crazy characters. The old couple, oh fuck, what's their name? I watched this movie last semester. I can't remember. It starts with an R, I know that. They are hilarious. And the scene when they're eating dinner, and it's Mia Farrow's character and her husband eating dinner. So when they're sitting at dinner with Rosemary and Guy, it's Cassafet. I was close. I said it started with an R. It's all the way at the end of the fucking alphabet. But when we have Rosemary and Guy and Minnie and Roman sitting at the table, their interactions is just great. And the way Polanski, manipulates the camera in that scene is just really fucking fantastic and really, really good. And I was really happy that this film, got the attention and the, the praise that it did, because it's a really, really, really good movie. And like, as you guys know, we haven't seen many Oscar nominated and winning films in the horror genre, besides The Exorcist. Doesn't happen very often. So see this movie get an Oscar, it's really, really, really nice. So if you guys haven't had a chance to pick up the Criterion release of Rosemary's Baby, do yourself a favor, because it's a fantastic fucking transfer and a really, really great film. And if you guys haven't had a chance to see Repulsion, which is Polanski's film that he did before Rosemary's Baby, you can pick it up on Criterion Collection from 65, and it's really, really, really a great film as well. And there's a whole bunch of interesting things going on in that film too. So, got to give number 2 to Rosemary's Baby, just on so many aspects of what it did and how it revolutionized the genre and the occult film and possession and, all that kind of stuff. It's really great. Rosemary's Baby, it's an absolute classic and a bona fide amazing film. 9.5 out of 10. So,
feel that our number one is the same film. At least it better damn well be. So do you want to just kind of mention it, and then we'll just both talk about it instead of doing the then you?
Well,
okay, my number one is Rosemary's Baby, of course, from Roman Polanski.
Yeah, my number one film is the Astro Zombies.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Did you imagine? No, Rosemary's Baby. Yeah, it's brilliant. It's amazing.
It's a film that, like, I had just seen in 2013 for the first time. I know that because I have it marked down when I watched it, because I document all my ratings now. And
this is another really scary film.
Yeah, I had given it a 9 out of 10 when I first seen it.
Yeah.
And I gotta say my rating has definitely came up. There's so much layers to this film.
Time.
It is like, I don't know what the word for it is, but it's stuff that like Kubrick does, where everything seems, and Hitchcock, everything seems like it has a purpose. Every scene, every dialogue, every motion, movement, camera angle, everything feels like it was thought out and predetermined before the film was made. And that, it shows. It fucking shows, dude.
It is Roman Polanski. He's pretty meticulous when it comes to this stuff too. So, I mean, you can really tell the quality of filmmaking in this. I mean, Mia Farrow, amazing in this film too.
The way that it all plays out, I mean, it's a long movie, but you never feel like it's just
it's like
anything.
It's like what, 2.5 hours, or close to 2.5 hours or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't really think it feels that long when you watch this film, because it is so intriguing and intense, and you know, like you said, there's so many layers to it, which is a good thing in a long film, I think, though, because it keeps you thinking. It keeps you thinking, and you're always trying to explore everything that the filmmaker's showing you, like they do in this film. You know, and you keep thinking about things. You're like, what the fuck, man? But that's pretty interesting that your rating's gone up, though. That's good.
Yeah, the neighbors, they're very peculiar and weird, and it's just they have this thing about them where you know something's quite a little bit off, and then as the story unfolds, and it does this like page turning plot where it's like it's not. It's like a little bit more, and you're just so engulfed in the idea of what's going on, and you're following this character who is really like, she's really in the movie. Like, you really follow her. Like, I think she's in like most of this. I can't think of many scenes that she's not in. You know, she just is there the whole time, so you really feel, you know, a connection with her, and also as she goes through the film. It's like she looks worse and worse and worse as she goes, and it's not done in like a, you know, like prosthetic like way where you see like, you know bad mess, like, you know, it's not done in that typical way.
like the film was actually taking a real toll on her.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But you know, everything from the start to the very end is just that. I mean, that very end is something unique, and just, you know, I mean, god damn it, that is an amazing ending.
No, it really is.
I love that ending.
It's one of the best endings, probably, you know, in horror film history, in my opinion.
And one person like says something, and like there's like a phrase that's uttered out, and it just like sends shivers up my spine. I'm like, what the fuck? It's so good, dude. It's so good. I really want to get the Criterion release, because I do just have like a $5 DVD.
Oh, it looks so beautiful, man.
I need to revisit this one. Unfortunately, I wasn't actually able to revisit it for the show. I knew that it was my number one, so I tried to get to a bunch of other films that I hadn't seen, you know, but I definitely need to watch this one again. It was too long for me. You know, I was like, maybe I should try to squeeze it in, but it was just too long.
That was like kind of like me too. I haven't watched it since Jeremy sent me the Criterion Blu-ray. So, but no, it's just an amazing cinematic experience, man. You know, fuck. Could you imagine watching this film back in 1968?
It really is like, when you look at this list of films, when you have shit like The Green Slime and you have shit like, Brides of Blood, and then you see like on the opposite spectrum where you have a film like Rosemary's Baby, which is so big and grand and is just something, it's on a whole nother level, like the peak of levels that you can be on. It's really amazing.
Yeah, it really is. So, yeah, Rosemary's Baby ratings.
I'm giving it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I kind of figured that Night of the Living Dead's a 10, so we got this one higher. Rosemary's Baby, yeah, also 10 out of 10 for myself.
And it's a very well-deserving 10 out of 10. I stand by it 100%. And I would be curious to, hear somebody that would give it a 7 or something, because I would love to know why.
Yeah, that would be very interesting. I mean, maybe because it's a little long for them or something. I don't know. Yeah. Who knows? It would be interesting.
Number one, it's kind of obvious what we're going to have here as you guys listen to episode 50 and recognize that what our number one most influential film of the last 50 years is, you got to have Night of the Living Dead as the number one film from the year 1968, just because of what it did. I know we talked a lot about this in the last episode and how it, changed the horror genre forever, and the culture that we know of zombies that's even, especially today, is just booming and exploding. So to have, a film like this come out low below budget, not much money, guys just with cameras going out shooting and pretty much changing the genre forever as we know it. And if it wasn't for Night of the Living Dead, I don't think that the horror genre would be the same that we see it today, just because of the fact that so many things were influenced by the film, between zombies and themes, and the themes of the zombies and the things that are going on in this film narratively that isn't thrown in your face. That I think it's a really just a fantastic film. And if you guys want to hear, more thoughts about the film, just listen to the past episode 50 if you guys haven't listened to it, and you will hear, all three of us thoughts on the film, because it's truly remarkable and a really awesome film. Night of the Living Dead, it's a no-brainer, guys. For what it did, I gotta give it a 10 out of 10.
So, do you have any honorable mentions?
Honorable mentions? Yeah, I mean, I do. The Ghastly Ones, I really enjoy that film. I actually reviewed that on Body Bags at one time. I believe it was during Video Nasty Week or something like that. That one's pretty fun. It's really grimy and it's really shitty, but it's fun. Seeds of Sin is another one that's pretty fun. The Blood of Fu Manchu, that one's an interesting flick. Destroy All Monsters, I really enjoy.
Yeah, that one I actually caught last night, and that's definitely an honorable mention. I'm not the biggest fan of those giant monster, like, they're really cheesy and stuff, but I do like them. I'm just not like I'm not obsessed with them, or I can't watch them all the time. But they're fun. They're fun. I had fun with that one.
I can see that though, man. If you're not a huge fan, they're probably not going to be the best thing for you. The Green Slime I found is pretty fun. It's a really bad film.
That's an honorable mention of mine as well.
But it's so much fun though. It's so much fun though. Yeah. The documentary that I just reviewed, actually, The Strange World of Coffin Joe, I recommend people watching that, especially if you've never
watched that one.
What's that?
And I almost watched that one until I realized that it wasn't like the Coffin Joe movie, because I was like, well, this, I don't want to, like, it'll just be, I need to see the movie first.
It's actually quite interesting if you see this, and because you learn a little bit about Coffin Joe himself and stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's about it. I mean, there was a bunch of other ones I didn't really care for that I've seen. There's
one that
Succubus by Jess Franco's a sleazeball.
I started watching that one. I couldn't really get into it.
No, it's Jess Franco, right? It's very hit and miss. It actually does get better though.
My least favorite during this journey was The Blood Beast of Terror. Awful movie. I think he gave it like a 1.5 out of 10 or something like that. One that I was wondering if we was going to include, and Moodz said no, was Planet of the Apes. And, it's not a horror film, but it definitely is like a sci-fi, and there are horrific elements to it. Kind of that like outsider, like captured type shit. I think when you think of Planet of the Apes, you think of the sequels, which are very, very, very un-horror-ish. But that first one was a little dark. And that's a great movie. That I really
I mean, if we had to include Planet of the Apes, it would have been in my top 10 for sure. Yeah. It's a good film.
But overall, I'm I'm cool with the fact of not including it because these other films are more horror-ish. Like you said, man, there's a lot of films from this 1968 where it feels like I need to watch it a few more times to really like fully grasp it. And you know, Karukino, that was definitely one of them, as well as Out of the Wolf.
I know, I've always wanted to see that one, man. So got to check that out in Targets. One that I didn't get to chance to see, obviously, that Kira Nurko or whatever, was Fear Chamber. I think that was another Boris Karloff film.
Oh, yeah. You know another one? Spirits of the Dead. This one was on a lot of people's top 10 list that when I was doing research to see like the most popular titles to check out first. It's actually an anthology based on Edgar Allan Poe shorts, and I can't find it anywhere.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, Curse of the Snake Woman, that's another pretty good film from 68. It's released by Synapse Films. It's pretty interesting. I believe it's Japanese. I think so. So, I do recommend that one.
JP dropping in one more time before we get out of here, guys. And as you guys know, me and Moodz recorded this episode together. The top 10 horror films of 1968 segment, me and him did together, and Jeremy lent in clips afterwards. So as we was recording, I had a pretty good hunch that there might be a film or two that would get a high enough rating, a high enough combined rating, that is, to be inducted into the 22 Shots of Moodz and Horror Hall of Fame. I didn't know for sure because I didn't have Jeremy's picks or ratings yet, but it turns out I was correct with my hunch because not only one film, but two films had a high enough rating to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Those of you who don't know, basically a film must receive a rating from all three hosts that totals to be 28 or higher. The first film that's going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame this episode is Rosemary's Baby with a combined rating of 29.5. That's a 10 from me, a 10 from Moodz, and a 9.5 from Jeremy. Shame on you, Jeremy. It should have been a 10. Rosemary's Baby definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. It is truly one of the best horror films ever created. It is just a film that so many people hold in such high regard, and it is absolutely deserving of that high regard. So that film will be inducted. I'll get to that after the episode posts, and I'll have it up on the Hall of Fame page. The second film to make the Hall of Fame this episode is George A. Romero's classic 1968 zombie film, Night of the Living Dead, coming in with a perfect rating of 30. That's 10 from Moodz, 10 out of 10 from Jeremy, and 10 out of 10 from me. It's a classic horror film. It's one of the best ever. It is a true example of a horror film, much like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It is one that I do feel does stand the test of time and will be considered one of the best horror films for the rest of history. Alright guys, I'm getting out of here, but I just couldn't leave this episode alone knowing that two films had a high enough score to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and none of us commented on that. So I'm very proud to announce those two films, and they will be up on the website. I think it's really awesome, and I can't wait to put more films into the Hall of Fame next season. I'll see you guys next time. Later. Yeah, so I mean, I think that's it, guys. That this will be our last show until some point in the summer.
Yeah, that is going to conclude episode 51 and season 2 all at the same time. Yes, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I'm not really too sure how long this is going to be.
It's
but
the
I got
last
a feeling
one.
I think we did a pretty lengthy one here, so hope you guys enjoyed it. And of course, thank you for everybody that phoned in the season, left voicemails. We really appreciate that. Hope to hear from you guys in season 3. And congratulations to all the winners. Those packages will be sent out as soon as we get a chance to send them out. So get those addresses in, and so we can get them sent out as quick as possible. You got any last words, JP?
Yeah, I really enjoyed preparing for the 1968 show, and next season I look forward to doing a top 10 of 1969, possibly 1970, and so on and so on. I love the idea of finding and watching a lot of these films that I'm unfamiliar with. As well, guys can check us out on the Facebook group. We're going to be active there, even though we're not recording podcasts. Keep the activity going, because that is, I mean, how many times a day do you visit the group page, dude?
A few times.
Yeah, a few times.
I'm usually on there.
You guys can follow us on Twitter, 22 Shots Podcast. You guys can also send us an email if you want to send us your addresses or ask us questions or whatever. That is 22 shots of moods and horror at gmail.com. As always, you could visit us on the website. We've been very active on there lately, and we're going to, with a lot of downtime from the podcast, I'll definitely be posting a lot of stuff on there, as well as Moodz and Jeremy. That is www.22shotsofmoodsandhorror.com. Definitely check that out. Our YouTube channels, you should know them by now. Check those out as well. And I believe that is it. Jeremy might make an appearance on this episode. It's up to him.
Yeah, we're not 100% sure. So, but with that said, guys, thank you once again. We had a great time in season 2. Hope to see you in season 3. And peace out.
Later.